or polyglot, meaning that a person who can use more than two languages are called as multi or pluri or polyglot, and a person who can use only two, they are bilingual, and the person who can use only one is mono. So there is a distinction between mono, bi, pluri, multi, and polyglot. But now in social linguistics, what is happening that we are also mixing up the terminology. Now multi and pluri are not that much popular. What is popular is bilingual. So now bilingual means any person who can use more than one language. It can be two, it can be three, it can be four, whatever it is, but it has to be more than one language. So that's a bilingual. Now, when it comes to the borrowing, the most important aspect, previous one, the most important aspect is the presence of the bilinguals. Because without bilinguals, it can be said that language contact cannot take place. And in other words, if there is a language contact, there has to be bilinguals, either passive or active. And if there is a bilingual, there has to be borrowing. Without bilingualism, without language contact, borrowing cannot take place. So what happens then, whenever we find there is a contact, the contact will produce bilingual speakers, and bilingual speakers will ultimately borrow the words from another language, and it becomes a part of their own language system. Though I said that borrowing is the byproduct of bilingual, but it always not true. We also find examples that there are certain monolingual communities where also we find borrowed words. Then the question is why? Now, there are many languages in the world which are not scientifically advanced in the sense that they may not have words to refer to certain concepts which are the contribution of the modern science. Then they have the need. So for that need, there is a kind of gap. So it is a need fulfilling exercise. So they have to borrow a word. So in order to fulfill that lexical gap is a term which we use to talk about or to refer to a kind of gap that we find in a language. Suppose there is a concept present in one language, and that concept comes to my language and there is no word, so there is a lexical gap. Now we have to fill up the lexical gap. Now let's talk about this one. So before 1995, I think the mobile came to Assam around 2002 or 1. Before that, we didn't have a word for mobile in my mother tongue, right? Now then, when we started getting this word, now we had a need, right? We had a gap, lexical gap. So what do? We borrowed the words. Now, whether a person is a bilingual or monolingual, that person will use a mobile because it's a needful exercise. It means it's a gap was there, so that gap was fulfilled by borrowing the words. Now, when we borrow the words, it need not be the exact pronunciation of the word that is found in the other language. The word is pronounced as per our own language system. And the borrowing words are not only limited to a particular field, it is in fact found in almost all the semantic fields, and all the speech community, members of the community generally use the borrowed words, and that is why these words become a part and parcel of their own language system. And sometimes it happens that the borrowing becomes so extensive and so expansive that we sometimes lose our native words. And you must have noticed in your own language that sometimes you cannot remember your own native words, and instead of it, you start using your mother tongue. Sorry, the borrowed words, because you have already forgotten the words, right? Say, for example, is there any Hindi speaker here? No. Okay. Hindi speaker, native speaker? Okay, fine. Govind is here. Now, in Hindi, I believe there is a word for cigarette, Shata Dhumra Dandika.
Dhumra Dandika.
Dhumra Dandika, yeah. Now, Dhumra Dandika, right? Now, how many of us, you are not a smoker, I am a smoker. So, how many of you use Dhumra Dandika? Nobody, right? Everybody uses cigarette, biri, etc. Now, what happened? That Dhumra Dandika, as he said, that word was once upon a must have used, but now nobody uses it, right? So, that word is being replaced by an English word, and we have forgotten that all our native words. So that happens everywhere. And remember that borrowing is, in most cases, it is one-sided. One-sided in the sense that the upper language, there are some technical terms that is why I'm a bit scared that you may not understand it. The upper language generally borrow from the lower language, and that upper language we call as the superstratum language, and the lower language is called the substratum language. Means a language. Now remember, all the language are equally good, right? You cannot say that X is bad or Y is good. But then we say superior in terms of the economical power of the speech community, right? So, for example, we know that USA is very, very rich country, right? Now we believe that they are the superpowers, right? Followed by China, Japan, and we are also coming up. But then somehow we still believe that English, which is spoken in USA or as well as UK. Now, since that is the language spoken by the most powerful country, English is also a superior language, belonging to a super strong community. But again, there is no justice. So don't quote me that Sir said there is superior language. No. But in social language, we say that superior language in terms of the economic power of the community. And the other community who are poor, they are known as the substrate language or subordinate language. So substratum and superstratum, these are two concepts we generally use in teaching and Creole studies. But in social English also, as well in borrowing, we say that generally a lower language borrows the words from the upper language, meaning that a superstratum language donates the words to the substratum language and never vice versa, meaning very, very rarely, in maybe 0.1% words are coming to English from other minority languages. Whereas if you look at the English words and if you look at the Oxford dictionary, you'll find that a lot of words are coming from English to the other language, right? So these are the borrowings because we consider English to be the superstratum language. That is why a lot of borrowing takes place. Next one. Now, as I said just now, that in some cases the borrowed words displace the indigenous words and we completely forget the words, and these words really disappear from the scene. And that is why what happens if that borrowing is not stopped, there is a process. And if there's extensive borrowing, what happens that the borrowed phenomenon completely takes control of the language system of the borrowed language, and as a result of it, generally that language goes out of use, meaning that there will be a kind of language shift or language death. I'll give you examples. How does it happen? And it's a real example. A study done by one of the best social linguists of the world. Her name is Susan Roman. She talked about the Gujarati families living in UK. Now she said that when the Gujaratis from India went to UK just after our independence, the Gujaratis are more or less monolingual. They know few words of English here and there. So they went there for business purposes because Gujaris are known for business. Sorry, I shouldn't say Gujaris, it's a formula question. Gujaratis are known for business purposes. So they went to UK for business purposes and established a pretty good business there. So the first generation was more or less monolingual. Then the second generation, the children of the Gujaratis who lived there, they became bilingual. They learned Gujarati at their home and English outside that. Then the third generation of the Gujaratis, what happened? That the third generation Gujarati, they got married to people from the other communities, say maybe British or any other. So what happened then when the husband or wife belongs to a different linguistic community, they cannot preserve the home domain. Home domain in the case of Gujarati. So the third generation speakers stopped using Gujarati at all. They became monolingual. Now remember, the first generation Gujarati were monolingual in Gujarati. Second generation Gujarati was bilingual, Gujarati and English. Third generation became monolingual, but this is monolingualism in English. So that is called transitional bilingualism. Means that the second phase is transition. They are moving to a certain direction. Now what happened then? The third generation Gujaratis have lost the Gujarati language altogether. Gujarati not lost in India, but the Gujaratis who were in UK, they cannot speak Gujarati at all now. So that's a case of language loss because of the extensive contact with the other people. So now this replacement, that the one language being replaced by other, is always gradual. Now you think about the second generation. The second generation did not suddenly stop using Gujarati. They gradually stopped, right? What happened that they gave less and less feedback to third generation. The third generation altogether got it stopped. Now when you look at this example, now in English we have two words. One is called handbook, the other one is called manual. Now handbook is a native word, native English word, whereas manual is a French word. Now at present in English we are using both the words. Sometimes we use handbook, sometimes we use manual. Now what is happening that English has borrowed the word manual from French, and both the words are being used, which means that it is not abrupt. The stage is going on. But look at the last example. Now in English there was a word, there is a verb called estigan. There is a native verb in English. But then suddenly English borrowed the Latin verb essen from Latin, and nowadays if you ask somebody from English literature what is estigan, he or she won't be able to say it because that word is not used at all. So it means that word has gone out of use. So instead of that we are using essen. So this is a kind of example which we call as the sudden or abrupt. The first one, handbook and manual, is still gradual because both the words are being used simultaneously, whereas in the last example, we are not using the other one. Now, the most important question is why? Why do we borrow, or why does borrowing take place? Borrowing generally takes place because of two issues. First of all, one is called motivation. The other one is called prestige. Now, motivation is an internal aspect. And in linguistics as well, in applied linguistics, we say that motivation can be of two types. One is called instrumental motivation, and the other one is called integrative motivation. Those who are from education background, education psychology, they will also know this distinction. Now, in applied linguistics, we discuss motivation a slightly different way in terms of language learning. Now, we have to have a motive to learn something. Without that motive, you cannot do anything, right? So in applied linguistics, we say that a person who learns a language from the point of view of integrative motivation, he is a better learner than a person who learns a language from the point of view of instrumental motivation. Integrative motivation is that you want to integrate yourself with the community so that you can become a potential member of the community. So this is called integrative motivation. Whereas instrumental motivation is something that is a means to an end. You want to pass an exam. So what is your motivation? That I want to pass the exam. So I have to learn this subject. So this is called instrumental motivation. So in applied linguistics, we say that the learners who learn a second language from integrative motivation point of view, they are better learners than the instrumentally motivated learners. But then in India, we have a completely different picture. Now, most of us in India learn English because we want to pass the exam, right? You have to write the exam in English. The English is subject. So you have to learn English from the point of view of passing the exam. So there's instrumental motivation. And if you cannot learn English, you cannot get a good job. So your ultimate aim of learning English as a second language is to get a good job, where English is compulsory. So in applied language, we say that in India, those who are instrumentally motivated, they are better learners than integratively motivated. Whatever may be the case, but the issue in borrowing is that borrowing takes place because of motivation. And this motivation is also a kind of need fulfilling exercise. Whenever we come across certain new ideas, certain new concepts, then we have to have a word for that. And for that purpose, we must follow or we must borrow the words wherever it is readily available. Then the second one is prestige. Now, many minority languages believe that if they can use words from a more prestigious languages, they will also able to gain their prestige. Now, if we take the example of English in present day India, we believe English to be the most prestigious one. The best example which my teacher gave us in our class is the story of using English in the airports. Now, all of you have gone to the airports, right? Now, as soon as you enter the airport, everybody starts speaking to us in English. What? We are in India. Let's talk in Hindi. Let's talk in the mother tongue. I'll give you my own example. Whenever I go to Guwahati Airport, see there is a name right written on the here somewhere. The ladies who are or the boys who do the issue the boarding pass. Suppose there is surname Saikia. I know she is Assamese or he is Assamese. Even if I speak Assamese, that person will always reply to me in English. I really don't understand the issue. Now that issue is this specie issue. People believe that if you can fly, means you have money. You have money to fly. That is why you are rich. If you are rich, you must know English, right? Because English and money power is actually the press issue. So people automatically start using the English language, and that's the example my teacher given. I find it's a real case, right? So then it means that the minority languages always borrow from the majority languages because of the prestigious issue. Of course, there are certain lexical gaps. In order to fill up the lexical, they also have to borrow it. But apart from that, prestige is there. But again, in linguistics, we do not believe in the prestige issue because for us, all are equally good, equally beautiful. There is no good or bad language. All language is equally good. Okay. Now, this is the quotation, the first one by one of the well-known socialists, Martinet. He said that the language of the conquered race tends to borrow more than of the conquerors, meaning that the people who are subjugated, they have no say, right? So they will borrow from the kings, from the upper class people, not the vice versa. And as I said earlier, if this kind of extensive borrowing goes on, the ultimate result will be the language loss, as it happened in the case of the Gujaratis living in UK, as far as third generation is concerned. And similarly, those from, if there's anybody nearby Nagaon area, there's a Tiwa community which is found in Morigaon district. Now, Tiwa has two groups. One is called Datiali Tiwa and one is called Hazuali Tiwa, or plain Tiwa or hills Tiwa. Now, the plain Tiwas who are living in the plains, that is why they are called plain Tiwas, they are Tibetan speakers. Now, they are living with the Assamese speakers for generations together, and as a result of it, they are borrowing a lot of word structure from Assamese. And there are some families where the children cannot speak Tiwa at all. They speak only Assamese, meaning that there is a kind of language loss is taking place, or there is a kind of language shift. Whereas the hill Tiwas, they are living in Karbi Anglong, they are not facing that situation as faced by the plain Tiwas, because they are living in hillocks where only the Tiwas are living. The Karbis are there, no doubt, but then there is a small gathering, small village, so they are able to maintain the language because there is not that much direct contact between the Karbis. Whereas in the case of plain Tiwas, it's not happening. So there is an extensive contact with the Assamese people. So as a result of it, there is a kind of language shift taking place among the plain Tiwas, and this is happening because of the extensive borrowing. Yeah, next one. Now, when we talk about borrowing, we don't have to accept the culture of the community to borrow a word. Though sometimes it becomes necessary, but in other words, also, in most cases, it is not necessary. Say, for example, we are wearing jeans. Right? Jeans is a wool or dress material which was used earlier in the coal fields. Now, why it was used in coal fields? Because see, the laborers have to go down to the tunnel and they have to dig out the coals, dig out the golds in South Africa as well. Now, they needed strong clothes. They cannot wear cotton. So the jeans was given to them because the clothes is very tough, right? So they can use the jeans so that their skin will be protected. So it was a dress for the laborers. Now it has become a dress for the upper. So there is a kind of cultural change taking place. Now, when we borrowed the word jeans, we did not borrow the culture of the community, right? The English-speaking community. We simply borrowed the word. Similarly, when you talk about lama, the word lama is found in English language. So lama is borrowed as a word, So culture of the Buddhists are not borrowed. Simply the words is borrowed, meaning that we don't have to borrow the culture. We don't have to accept the culture officially. We can simply borrow the words whenever there is a necessity. And sometimes borrowing also takes place because of certain specialized groups. So in linguistics, we use these two words, ablaut and umlaut. Now, ablaut is a word which is used to refer to the change of vowel in a similar word. Say, for example, if you look at the word sing, sang, sang, sing, sang, sang, these are related words. But in present one, I, in the second one, a, in the third one, you, right? Rest of things remain same. So that's called ablaut in linguistics because the vowel is changed in a related words. Whereas umlaut is a concept about the vowel quality which is found in German. We don't have the problem, right? But in linguistics, in order to talk about the quality of the vowel, we have to use the German words. So meaning that it is a specialized group. Linguistics is a subject of specialized group. So if I talk about ablaut and umlaut here, you may find difficult, but in my classroom, the students do understand because there is a subgroup. So meaning that, sorry, meaning that borrowing also takes place from one specialist group to the another one just for the purpose of the certain understanding. Now, we do not simply borrow the words. Now, the words are assimilated. That's what I said in the beginning also, that words are assimilated into the system. So, for example, now the word theater, it's a French word. I don't know how to say it in the French way, right? We say it English way, theater, but definitely if there was a French teacher, he would have been able to pronounce it. Theater was pronounced in a different way by the French people, but we are borrowing the words and we have modified the pronunciation of the words to fit our own language system. Similarly, now look at the word, last example. Now I am saying it in a typical Indian English way. The word Mozart. Now, there was a time when Mozart, the word was pronounced as Mozart only. But in Austrian, it is not to be pronounced as Mozart, it should be pronounced as Mozart. So now, in German spelling, the jaw represents the ch. So in actual pronunciation is Mozart. So earlier it was Mozart, but now they have gone back to the old system of exactly pronouncing the word. So what happens? It means that we find two situations. In one case, the word is pronounced as per our own phonology system. In other words, we try to pronounce the word as it is found in the original language. Yeah, next one. Now, think about all these examples. Now, in Turkish phonology, what happens? Phonology is the sound system. Now, in Turkish phonology, a word cannot begin with the sound sa. It's not allowed in Turkish language at all. But when Turkish borrowed the words from European languages, which has a saw as well as a stop, stop is a plosive. These are the stops in linguistics. We call it plosive. So when a word begins with a saw plus a stop in the initial position, and they are borrowed, now the Turkish has to modify their own phonology because remember, the Turkish does not allow the word to be started with a saw. So now let's say they have borrowed a word from Italian, spirito, meaning alcohol. Now when they have borrowed the word spirito, they cannot say spirito because saw and a stop is not allowed. So what they did, they put a verb in the initial position, meaning that they are borrowing the words but making it typical Turkish. So they will be saying spirito, meaning alcohol. So here they have modified their own system modified the borrowed words in order to fit into the own phonology system. Similarly, when they borrowed the word station from French, they make it station. Scotch from English, they make it Scotch. Whereby in all these examples, you can see that they have added the vowel E in order to break the system that starts with saw and a stop. So saw is now has become the medial position. The initial position is E, then the medial position is also it's fine as per their own phonology system. So that is the phonological problem, phonological modification that the borrowed words undergo by the community. Sometimes the morphological boundaries can also be lost. Now look at the example. In Arabic, there is a word al-qadi. Al-qadi is a mayor. Now, this word al-qadi is borrowed by the Spanish. Now, in Spanish, there has to be a definite article. They cannot simply say al-qadi. So the definite article, which is roughly the English the, is el in Spanish. So what they did, they said el al-qadi. Similarly, al-mazhan has become el al-makan, store. Now, similarly, you know the famous, the notorious terrorist organization, Al-Qaeda. Now, when you find it in the newspaper, it says the Al-Qaeda, right? Now, the Al-Qaeda, the is already there. Al stands for the definite article in Arabic. So it becomes the Qaeda. So al means whatever meaning is, I don't know. So al is already definite article. There is a qaida, but in English they say the al qaida, meaning that there is a definite article. Because in English you cannot start a word without a definite article. So in English then there the is added, so meaning is a double definite. Here is also in Spanish also el al qaida, el alcalde become the double one. So the mayor. So this is a morphological boundary which is lost because the speakers were not aware that al is a definite article in the Arabic language. So they have added their own definite article marker, meaning making it a double one. Next one. Now, when we look at the borrowing as a whole, there is Hogan, as I said earlier, he worked extensively on borrowing. He said that in most cases, the common words that are borrowed freely are the nouns, followed by verbs and others. So when Hogan studied the English borrowing into Norwegian language, he found that in Norwegian, 75.5% words that came from English belong to the category of noun. And verbs only 18.4, adjective, adverb, and prepositions just 1.2, and interjections only 1.4, and pronouns are very rarely borrowed. In fact, it's not borrowed at all. So most freely borrowed items in language is the nouns. Yeah. Yeah.
So this percentage is definitely मतलब इतनी ही थी, ये कैसे उसको किया गया?
नहीं, इसको किया गया, हॉगन ने स्टडी किया नॉर्वेजियन
जब
लैंग्वेज
तक
में.
हमारे पास एक वर्ड्स का इतने ही वर्ड्स हैं हमारे पास, तब तक ये डाटा एग्जिस्ट तो नहीं हो सकता.
हाँ नहीं, जब ये अराउंड 1970s का स्टडी है, उस टाइम का जो स्टडी है नॉर्वेजियन में 80% इंग्लिश वर्ड्स थे. अभी तो और बढ़ गया होगा या घट भी गया भी होगा. ये बोलना मुझे नहीं, जिस टाइम स्टडी किया था उस टाइम उतना ही था उसका नॉर्वेजियन में. ठीक है,
ये डाटा मतलब वर्ड्स का क्या डिक्शनरी के हिसाब से वर्ड्स को चूज किया गया है या
नहीं,
क्योंकि अब जैसे हमारी लैंग्वेज
ऑब्जर्वेशन
वर्ड्स मतलब इतने वर्ड्स हो सकते हैं कि उसके कोई
हाँ,
लिमिटेड नहीं कर सकते उसको.
हाँ, नहीं,
जब तक वो लिमिटेड वर्ड्स ना हो तब तक उसका परसेंटेज निकालना बहुत
मुश्किल है. लेकिन उन्होंने डिक्शनरी का हेल्प लिया, प्लस जो फर्स्ट प्राइमरी सोर्स ऑफ डाटा है वहां से कलेक्ट करके ये स्टडी की. मतलब जितने मिला उतना है. लेकिन अभी तो कभी बढ़ गया होगा, अभी हो सकता है, अभी बोलना मुश्किल है, लेकिन उस टाइम पे उनके हिसाब से यही था, उनके हिसाब से. Then we have to talk about the types of borrowing. Now there are different types. So Bloomfield, he is a father of linguistics. He wrote the best book in linguistics called Language, which is published in 1995. He said that there are two types of borrowing. One is called dialect borrowing, and the other one is called cultural borrowing. Now in dialect borrowing, when a dialect donates certain words to the standard variety, that is called dialect borrowing. And if the words are borrowed from another language, that is called cultural borrowing. Now, say those who know Hindi, now you can see the examples, Batiana or Jutiana. These are used in modern Hindi, but my colleague, who is a very well-known linguist, you must be knowing Professor Abdul Kumar Mishra, he was also the director of CIL, he said that this Batiana, Jutiana, these things came from Bhojpuri. Now, meaning Bhojpuri is a dialect of Hindi, right? So Batiana Jutiana came from Bhojpuri to Standardini, meaning that there is a kind of dialect borrowing. Only the native speaker will be able to tell it, but according to Abdish Mishra, he said that these are the words that are coming from Bhojpuri. Then similarly in English, you find spaghetti, pizza. These words come from Italian, so these are cultural borrowing because they come from a different language. So the basic point here is that in dialect borrowing, cultural borrowing refers to the words that come from a different language, whereas dialect borrowing refers to the words that come from another dialect to the standard variety. Yeah, next one. Uh, in that is during 1935, when Bloomfield wrote that book, he said that borrowing refers only to the words, that lexical items. So basically, then these two, that lexical and cultural borrowing, so dialect and cultural borrowing are types of lexical borrowing. But apart from that, we also get different types of borrowing, and these different types of borrowing are, one is called lexical borrowing, or say another one is called intimate borrowing. And this intimate borrowing, the word intimate is having a different meaning. The word is used by Bloomfield. He said that intimate borrowing refers to that aspect where we find that a precious language donates the words to a non-precious language or less precious language. Meaning that if we borrow English words to our mother tongue, that will be called as an intimate borrowing by Bloomfield, which is again lexical items, right? Yeah, the next one. The other type of borrowing is called loan translation or calc or calking. Now, in loan translation, what happens that we do not borrow the words. What we borrow are we break the words into roots and then we translate into in our own mother tongue. Say, for example, German words blitzkrieg. Now, this is a word which have been broken in two parts, blitz and Krieg. Now, blitz is lightning and Krieg is war in German. So these two are broken into English, and it is the loan translation because they have not borrowed the word blitzkrieg as it is, they have borrowed the word lightning. They have gone for translation. So similarly, German has also done the same thing in different cases. That is why they are known to borrow a lot of words, but the words do not have the original identity because of loan translation. Yeah, next. Now, oh yeah, yeah. Now, German borrowed the word compassion from Latin, but they did not borrow the word compassion as such. What they did, what is the meaning of compassion or con in German? Which. And patio is feeling. They have broken the parts of the word compassion, these two, com and patio. Then what they did, they translated this into German. So the word for which in German is mit, and for feeling they have laid. So they have mitleid for compassion. Now, see here, they have not borrowed the word compassion from Latin. They have simply broken the word compassion into two parts, the roots, then borrowed the root and got it translated into their own mother tongue. So now, mitleid, you cannot say it's a borrowing because you don't see the rule here, but in reality, it is a borrowed word. That's what we call it loan translation. Similarly, the word telephone, which is borrowed from Greek into English. So tele means at a distance, far off, phone means sound voice. So in English, they have just simply borrowed the root and combined it. And German, what they did, they said it in terms of calking by Fernsprecher, meaning fern means distant, Sprecher means speaker. Similarly, the Durdarshan is also in Hindi a kind of loan translation because television, tele is far off, vision is to see. So tele, dur, vision, see, darshan. In Hindi also, this is a kind of example of loan translation, durdarshan, right? Yeah, the next one. The yeah, now we are coming to different types of borrowing, not in terms of lexical items, but in terms of certain features. Now, phonological borrowing refers to that type of borrowing where we talk about borrowing of the individual sounds or individual phonemes. Now, this phonological borrowing is rare, no doubt, but there are also examples where we can see it. Now, in English, there are many words that start with ka and na cluster, such as knife, no, knee. Now, why does it happen? Now, it is said that there was a time when corner cluster was allowed in English. We do not know how did they pronounce it. Now, because why I said we do not know, because in linguistics we say that speech is temporary, writing is permanent, meaning that writing developed after the speech developed. Means writing is based on the speech. So we do not know how did they speak the word like K N I F, but we have the proof now that they were writing the knife or dish. Meaning then that there was a time in English language where they must have pronounced the kana together, maybe knife, maybe kano, something like that. Whatever we have no idea, but it is sure that they must had the consonant cluster ko and no, otherwise it cannot be in cannot be found in writing. Because writing, remember, writing is always based on speech. So since it is found in writing, it has to be present in the speech. It was there. That's for sure. But only problem is that we do not know how to pronounce it because there is no recording, and recording was not available during those periods. Yeah. Now, uh, since this kana is not pronounced, we say that kana cluster at the initial position is not allowed in English. But then recently what is happening that English has borrowed certain words from different languages where kana cluster is present in the initial position. Say, for example, a word from Yiddish language, knish, which is potato pancake. There are different types of pancake. So this is a potato pancake. Now English has borrowed this word from knish, from Yiddish, called knish, and English speakers say knish. Similarly, in Hebrew, they have borrowed the word neset, which means parliament, though it's very rarely used it. But it means now that the English language has changed the phonological system of its own because they have now allowed the kono cluster at the initial position. Now remember the point. Earlier, kono cluster was not allowed in English. That is why K-N-O-W is pronounced not as pronounced kano, but as no, meaning we drop the k sound as per pronunciation is concerned. But now they do not say nis. The pronunciation is kinis, meaning that they are allowing the kono cluster in the English language. They are meaning that English phonology has undergone certain changes where kono cluster, the initial position is allowed. Right? Yeah. The next one. Next point is that borrowing a new phoneme is not very common. As we said, in the case of English language also, there are very few, like only. But whenever there are large number of bilinguals present, the phoneme, borrowing of phoneme takes place. Say, for example, the English phoneme Z in Rouge, you girls will be knowing it better. It's a kind of powder, I believe, which is used on the cheeks, right? That's what I believe it means. Now, this word is basically French origin, and it was borrowed during the Norman occupation, 1060 to 1250. Now, this sound Z is found only in the words which are having French origin, meaning that this sound is not native English sound, but found only in those words which are having French origin. Now, similarly, a better example is the last one. Now, those who have the knowledge of Assamese, you know that Assamese does not have the affricate sound. We do not have cha, we do not have ja, we do not have cha. We have, what do we have? Fricative, we have sa. So whenever cha occurs, whenever affricate sound occurs, we replace it by sa. Say, for example, this is chair, but we say chair. We replace it by fricative sound sa. But nowadays, next one. But nowadays, what is happening? That many English speakers, or sorry, many Assamese speakers who have English knowledge, what they are doing, they are pronouncing it as African. So many educated children, including my children, they will be saying chair, they will be saying check, they will be saying say there are many other words. It's not coming to mind right now. But what is happening here? That then a kind of sound change is taking place in Assamese, where the African phoneme is being borrowed. Now we cannot say the borrowing is complete, because in order to qualify it as a phoneme, we must have minimal pairs. That's again pure linguistics one. So minimal pairs, yeah, minimal pairs are, say, for example, in English you say pin and, let's say, bin. Now what happened? Pin, bin. Only difference is between pa and ba. So we say pa and ba are minimal pairs. So without that minimal pairs, we cannot say that they are phonemes. So in order to establish the phonemes in linguistics, we must have the minimal pairs. So in Assamese case, when we are having cha, but if we do not have ja, we cannot say that's a phoneme borrowing. So that's a kind of sound borrowing which is going on, and maybe after 10, 20 years, maybe there can be a complete phoneme borrowing from the other language that affected by the English Assamese, but right now it's not there. Only a particular beginning is being taken place. Now coming back to the borrowing of the phonology, Russia, rather USSR, the earlier, the Arsenal Russia, give a present best example. Now in USSR, there was a rule that Russian must be taught to everybody in that old USSR, which is taught to them as a second language. And Russian was used as a language of communication for international scientific and cultural communities, as well as for other purposes, meaning that Russian was the language which has to be used in the erstwhile USSR. That is, it was made compulsory that Russian must be learned as a second language by the other communities. Now, as a result of it, a lot of borrowing from from Russian into the other languages took place, and the best example is the language called Kazakh. Next one, Kazakh, spoken in Kazakhstan. Now, Kazakh is a Turkic language which is spoken in Kazakhstan. And remember, this Kazakh language does not have the native phoneme fa. Now, remember, I am not saying ha. There is a distinction. You have to understand this one. I am saying fa is bilingual fricative. Fa, whereas ha is the plosive. I am saying fa from here. And when I am saying fa, it's coming from my lips. So this is a distinction. So the fa is a fricative, ha is a plosive. Now in Kazakh, which is a Turkic language, it doesn't have the phoneme fa, but Russian has it. So when Russian words having fa borrowed into Kazakh, they have to pronounce it as fa. So words such as flot, which means fleet, philosoph, which means philosopher, or physica, which means physics, those were pronounced as flot, fleet, and philosoph only, because the words, the phoneme fa is present in Russian but not in Kazakh. Since the Kazakh speakers learned Russian as a second language, so they learned how to pronounce the phoneme fa, so they have pronounced it this way. But before bilingualism took place, the monolingual Kazakh speakers, since they do not know, or sorry, they did not know Russian, they used to pronounce the Russian words which is borrowed into Kazakh only with pa. So they said flot as plot, philosoph as philosoph, and physica as physica, because, as I said, fa is not present in Kazakh. So since they were not bilingual, so they replaced the fa with the sound phoneme available in their own mother tongue, pa. This is called phonological borrowing. So the phonological borrowing is a borrowing where we borrow the phoneme. So the Kazakh language speakers borrowed the phoneme fa from Russian, so that become a phonological borrowing. Now, morphological borrowing, which is I am giving you in a very brief way, is the borrowing of certain affixes. Now, there can be three types of affixes. One is called prefix. If you use it before the word, that is called prefix. If you use it after a word, that is called suffix. And if you use the word between the words, that is called infix. So infix is not found in our languages, so I am not bringing it here. Now, basically, prefix and suffix are more common, so that's why I'm talking about prefix and suffix only. So whenever the suffixes are or affixes are borrowed, that is called morphological borrowing. Now, in English, this ism is a suffix which is borrowed by the English language from the Greek. It is not originally English. So we have words like socialism, capitalism. Now, in these words, this ism is borrowed by the English from the Greek. So this is a suffix borrowed by the English from the Greek. So this is called morphological borrowing. Similarly, tion comes from Old French, and this is used to create nouns from verbs. Say there is a noun called create, so they have taken the tion as suffix from French and use it to create a noun out of the verb, becoming creation. Similarly, inform is a verb, then added the tion, becoming information, which is becoming a noun. So this is an example of morphological borrowing, because they have English has borrowed the suffix. Here I am giving the example on the suffixes from Greek and French. So they have not borrowed the other words. They have simply borrowed the suffixes. So this is called morphological borrowing. But again, morphological borrowing is very less and not that much popular, because it needs extensive bilingualism and people must have complete knowledge of the other languages. So it's a bit less. And much more lesser is the syntactical borrowing, which is coming up the next slide. Now, syntactical borrowing is unusual, as I said, because here you have to borrow the whole construction or a part of the syntactic form, basically the grammar. Now, in French, you must have come across the words like attorney general, court martial. Now, these are the French words, not English words. Now, English has borrowed it from French, where you can see that in attorney general, adjective is the general and attorney is a noun. So here the adjective follows the noun as per French rule. There is a French grammatical rule. And similarly, court martial, martial is an adjective and court is a noun. So in English, this is not the proper rule. In English, what happens that noun is coming in the last. Say you cannot say boy good. You have to say good boy, meaning that adjective has to come first, followed by the noun. But in French, this is not happening. So what happened here? English has borrowed this syntactical information or this syntactical form from French, where adjective follows the noun. And this also has, see, attorney general, court martial were directly borrowed from French, and based on this rule, English has created a new word called postmaster general. This is not borrowed from French. It was created on the basis of this attorney general rule. This postmaster is the noun and general is the adjective. So this is based on that earlier rule. So meaning that here the English has borrowed the rule from the French, this grammatical rule, that is called a syntactical borrowing. The other example is the Turkish language. In Turkish, they have borrowed a lot of Persian construction, and this Persian construction is called izafet. Now, in Persian, what happens? Sorry, in Turkish, what happens? That you have to link the adjective and the noun, and you do not need any markup. Simply, you put the adjective before the noun. That is why you get Akil Adam. Akil means smart, Adam is a man. So here you don't see anything. You just put the adjective before the noun, then you get the word in Turkish. But then Persian has a different rule. Now, Persian has the exactly opposite rule, where adjective follows the noun and vowel is inserted between the noun and the adjective. So they have Kitabe Buzurg, meaning big book. Here you can see the Kitab, which is book, the noun, and Buzurg is book, which is the adjective. and adjective follows the noun, and before the adjective, the a marker is used. That is the izafat. Next slide. Now, since a large number of borrowing took place in Turkish during the Ottoman period, so Turkish also adopted this construction. Only point is that instead of A, they have started using E. Now, earlier, yeah, you just go back to earlier slide. Yeah, now you can see Akil Adam. That is the earlier form. Now they will be saying Akili E Adam. So they will put E, not A. Right? Now this E is a ijafat marker which they have borrowed it from Persia. Got it clear? So now that's why I said Akil Adam is the old form where there is no ijafat marker. But later on, because of a lot of Persian borrowing into Turkish, they have used the E marker instead A marker. Now they will not be saying Akil Adam, they will be saying Akil E Adam, standing for smart man. I think that's, yeah, I'm going a bit fast. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to get some questions. That's why I went a bit fast also. Yeah, you were saying something.
Thank you, Matna. So, any questions, feedback, or any queries?
I suppose speak up to 3 o'clock, no? I know it's a bit difficult for all of you because none of you are from linguistic background. So I try to make it a bit simple. And social linguistics is simple, unlike syntax and other things.
So please, the chat box, some question is there. What is your opinion about the future of our Indian native languages in the next generation due to dependence on English medium?
What is your
opinion about the future existence of our Indian native languages in the next generation due to the dependence on Indian
English medium? That's a good question. Thank you. It's difficult to say right now, but the onus is on us. If you are married, if you have children, send them to the vernacular medium school. Or if you cannot, if there is not available, make it sure that you talk to your children in your mother tongue. That's what, I'm not blowing my own trumpet. We make it a point that we speak to our children only in Assamese, in my mother tongue. And they do speak Hindi better than me, of course. They speak Bangla better than me again. They speak better English than me again. But we talk to them in English. So as long as we make it a point to talk to our children, or as soon as we make it a point to hand over our language to the next generation, the language cannot die. Whether a language will survive or not in the onslaught of globalization or English medium, whatever you want to call it, it depends on us, depends on the native speakers. We have to make it sure that we are going to hand over our language to the next generation. And if we fail to do that, not only English, we shouldn't blame English. Any dominant language will eat up your own mother tongue if you are not able to hand over your language. You have to make it sure that you will use your mother tongue whenever there is possibility with your children. And for that purpose, you have to preserve your home domain for the use of your mother tongue. I hope that will be sufficient.
So your answer is very useful for everyone. So anyone else?
Sir, hello, I'm Georgina Kaklari from Kachar College, from the Department of English. I have one question, sir. That thing, I was there in Nalbari district for more than 2 years. I'm actually from Udalguri. I belong to the Boro tribe. There I experienced, when I was there in Nalbari, I experienced certain things like, what do you say? In Boro, we say modamful, omita, papaya. And then the chili, which is called in Assam, is jolokia. But in Nalbari, when I went there, in Boro, we call it banlu again. So when I went there in Nalbari, I heard them like the Nolbari again, Kothito language, we say it, right? So when I went there, I heard them what they call the papaya is modful. We Boro call it as modumful. And
Yeah.
then same thing as chili, we call it banlu. And then there the Nolbari people call it bozlut. So I would like to know, sir, like how can we trace back whether whether it was borrowed from the Nolbari Assamese Kothito or it was from the Boro, that Moidful and Bozlut, which is so kindly can you give a little light on it, sir?
I'll call it borrowing from Boro to Assamese. They call Mudphal and Bhajluk, right?
Yes, Bozlut.
That is borrowed from, not the vice versa, borrowed from Boro to Assamese. Why? It's because in standard Assamese we have Omita,
Yes.
which is the Deshi word, right? Similarly, we have Jolokia, which is again a Deshi word, neither Tadbhava nor Tatchama. So since there is a similarity between Boro and Assamese in Nolbari dialect of Assamese, it means that it has to be from Boro language, because now if you look at the geographical location, now Nolbari is very close to the British area, right?
Yes.
The present. So, and Boros are the majority there. So there has to be borrowing from Boro to Assamese, not the vice versa.
Oh, okay.
Right? And you have to see it whether same words are available in other dialects also or not, but it's not available except Nolbari dialect. So it means it is not available in the standard Assamese. It means it has come from Boro to Nolbari dialect.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
So good, people are sleeping.
No, sir, they are listening. सारी लैंग्वेजेस में सर एक क्षमता होती है नए शब्द निर्माण करने की, सभी लैंग्वेजेस में संस्कृत की तरह और जितने भी लैंग्वेजेस हैं, और ज्यादातर लगभग मुझे लगता है संस्कृत में जैसा होता है कि शब्दों का निर्माण वर्ब से होता है, धातु से, जो भी वर्ब फॉर्म है उसमें सफिक्स लगा के प्रीफिक्स लगा के अलग अलग दूसरे तरीके से भी क्या निर्माण होता है दूसरी भाषा में। भारतीय सभी भाषाओं में तो मुझे लगता है कि सिर्फ धातु से ही निर्माण किसी भी शब्द का हम करते हैं।
अभी मुझे फिलोलॉजी जानना पड़ेगा, which is not my area. My area is social linguistics. So philology, it's a part of philology.
जैसे हमारे इसमें मेन धातु है जो वर्ब फॉर्म है, उसमें हम प्रीफिक्स या सफिक्स लगा करके उसके अलग अलग करके अर्थ हम बदल सकते हैं अलग अलग। कोई
यहाँ पे तो वही एग्जांपल है, जैसे TION मिला के क्रिएट क्रिएशन वर्ब से नाउन हो गया, मैनेजमेंट, हाँ ऐसे भी होता है,
मैनेज से मैनेजिंग।
बाकी वर्ड कॉइनेज तो है ही, जो तुम खुद कॉइन करोगे, कम्युनिटी जब कॉइन करता है, प्लस लोन ट्रांसलेशन इज पार्ट ऑफ क्रिएशन आल्सो, यू क्रिएट न्यू वर्ड्स। बेसिकली इसमें तो ऐसे बोलना मुश्किल है।
शब्दों का सर आगे चल के अर्थ भी अपने आप तरीके से बदलता रहा है। हमारे यहाँ जैसे संस्कृत में 4 तरह के शब्द बताए गए, यौगिक, योगरूढ़ इत्यादि करके।
नहीं, मुझे नॉलेज नहीं है
उसमें जैसे एक शब्द का जो उसकी व्युत्पत्ति से, मतलब उसके धातु और उससे जो अर्थ आ रहा है, हम नॉर्मली वो अर्थ में प्रयोग नहीं करते। जैसे नॉर्मल कुशल शब्द है, कुशल शब्द का जो अर्थ है वास्तविक वह कुशाम आदि, जो कुशा को जो कुश होता है, कुश को जो लेके आता है, कुश को जो तोड़ता है और तोड़ करके जो लेके आता है, ये उसका शाब्दिक अर्थ है व्युत्पत्ति से। लेकिन जो हम हमारे प्रयोग में जो लेके आते हैं, कुशल मतलब जो अच्छा जो कर सकता है, जो स्किल्ड है, तो वास्तविक अर्थ उसका अलग है, लेकिन हमारे प्रयोग के से आता है हम उस अर्थ को बदल के रखते हैं। पंकज एक पुष्प विशेष के लिए हम प्रयोग करते हैं, लोटस। लेकिन पंकज का अर्थ है पंकात जायते, पंक में, पंक मतलब कीचड़, कीचड़ में जो उत्पन्न होता है, पंकात जायते, पंख से जो उत्पन्न होता है वह पंकज है, उसका शाब्दिक जो अर्थ है। अब वह पंकज जो कीचड़ में उत्पन्न होने वाले कीड़े हैं, एल्गी है, ये सब कुछ पंकज है। लेकिन हम प्रयोग में ज्यादा प्रचलित हो जाने के कारण वह एक पुष्प विशेष के लिए हो गया, लेकिन वो पंकज वो सभी हैं जो कीड़े मतलब जो कीचड़ में जितने भी। तो ऐसे एक एक शब्द कई तरह के अर्थों को प्रतिपादित करता है, लेकिन प्रचलन में जिस समय में जो ज्यादा रहा है, और ये शब्द ऐसा भी रहा है कि जैसे अभी के समय हम एक अर्थ में प्रयोग ज्यादा करते हैं, आज से 30-40 साल के पहले वो शब्द किसी दूसरे अर्थ में प्रयोग ज्यादा होता हो, या 100 साल पहले वो शब्द दूसरे। जैसे आपने कहा सर उसका जो प्रोनाउंसिएशन है वो टाइम टू टाइम वो चेंज होता रहा है, चाहे वो इंग्लिश में रहा हो, अभी एसएमएस में या और कई सारी भाषा में, समय के साथ वो प्रोनाउंसिएशन भी चेंज होता है, स्पेलिंग रिटन फॉर्म।
हाँ, इसलिए हम बोल रहे हैं स्पीच टेम्पररी, राइटिंग परमानेंट। अभी भी तो जो केव्स में लिखा हुआ है अभी भी मिलता है हम लोगों को, पुराने जमाने का जो मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट है।
मैक्स मुलर का जो जिन्होंने हिस्ट्री ऑफ संस्कृत लिटरेचर करके जहाँ लिखा है, वहां उन्होंने शिक्षा जो लिखा है, शिक्षा एस, वो एस नहीं लिखा, उन्होंने सी लिख करके नीचे एक डॉट सा दिया है। वो जैसे हेलो सर, एडमिन ब्लॉक में फर्स्ट फ्लोर पे। हाँ 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 हाँ, एडमिन ब्लॉक में
उसमें सवाल का बनना जा सकते नहीं सर। जब कहा गया कि पंकज जायते थी पंकज, तो पंख से उत्पन्न जैसे सब कुछ है, तो उसमें सवाल भी तो आ सकता है, सवाल को भी लिया जाएगा ना।
हाँ, सवाल भी आएगा, उसको भी आएगा, जो भी कीचड़ से उत्पन्न हुए हैं। लेकिन जो हमारे प्रचलन में है वह उस लोटस जो पुष्प विशेष है उसके लिए हम प्रयोग करते हैं, लेकिन उसका अर्थ वो सभी कुछ है जो पंख में से जो भी उत्पन्न होता है वो सभी कुछ वो पंकज।
मेरे लिखित है।
हाँ हाँ, हमारे लिखित उसमें भी जो स्क्रिप्ट है, जो हम अभी जैसे इंग्लिश हम लिखते हैं रोमन स्क्रिप्ट में, तो नॉर्मल जब हम यदि शिक्षा इसको अगर हम रोमन में लिखेंगे तो SHIK ऐसे करके, लेकिन डायक्रिटिकल मार्क के साथ जब लिखेंगे तो वो S के ऊपर एक मार्क होगा, S जैसे आ है तो ए लिख करके आपके ऊपर एक ऐसे करके डायक्रिटिकल मार्क होगा। तो लेकिन वहां उन्होंने जैसे जो मैक्स मुलर ने जैसे प्रयोग किया, उन्होंने सी मतलब शिक्षा को CI और सी के नीचे एक बिंदी ऐसे करके एक, वो उसके थोड़ा सा उनका वो जर्मन का उनका लिखने का प्रभाव।
कुछ मैसेज है देखो
सर, एक चीज करना था।
जी जयदीप जी।
हाँ सर, अगर हम लोग अभी लैंग्वेज बोरोइंग के बारे में इतना सुने, मतलब इतना अच्छा सुना हम लोग। सर मेरा एक ही प्रश्न आ रहा है कि वी हैव डिफरेंट सेट्स ऑफ लैंग्वेज इन इंडिया, जो हमें पता है, और जो लैंग्वेज सर एक्सटिंक्ट हो रहे हैं, जो एंडेंजर्ड लैंग्वेज है, अगर वहां से हम लोग कुछ बोरो करें और कुछ दिन बाद वो एक्सटिंक्ट हो जाए तो उसका हम कैसे वो कर पाएंगे?
एंडेंजर्ड लैंग्वेजेस जो हो रही है उससे क्या हम बोरो कर सकते हैं?
मुझे समझा नहीं।
एंडेंजर्ड लैंग्वेजेस जो है, जो लगभग समाप्त होने वाली है, कई सारी चीजों से खतरा है, उससे क्या हम कुछ शब्दों को बोरो कर सकते हैं अभी के जो हमारी जो प्रचलन में?
नहीं, आप दोहराएंगे क्वेश्चन, क्योंकि उसमें एंडेंजर्ड लैंग्वेज बोरो करना कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है। आप तो बोरो कर सकते हो, प्रोवाइडेड कि यू प्रोवाइड देयर इज अ कांटेक्ट, लैंग्वेज कांटेक्ट इज नेसेसरी एंड देयर हैज टू बी बाइलिंगुअलिज्म। मैं जैसे बोला, इसे कहाँ से बोरो करना वो जरूरी बात नहीं है, और क्यों बोरो नहीं कर सकते हो, कहीं से भी बोरो कर सकते हो। इफ यू हैव अ नीड, यू हैव टू फुलफिल द नीड। तो जहां मर्जी, जहां से मौका मिला बोरो कर लो अगर चाहिए तो। लेकिन आपका क्वेश्चन शायद कुछ दूसरा रहा, नेट की वजह से हमको समझ में नहीं आया। आप कब दोहराएंगे क्वेश्चन?
एक्चुअली सर, मतलब मैं जानना चाहता था कि हम लोग अगर बोरो करते हैं उस लैंग्वेज को या फिर कोई पर्टिकुलर वर्ड को, तो अगर वो जहाँ से बोरो करते हैं वो एक्सटिंक्ट हो जाए, तो फिर उसको हम कैसे रेफर करेंगे कि वो उस लैंग्वेज से है? तो इस बारे में कुछ बोलते हैं आप?
हमने बोरो किया, बोरो के बाद वो लैंग्वेज एक्सटिंक्ट हो जाए तो हम कैसे रेफर करेंगे?
कैसे रेफर करेंगे मतलब क्या
कि वो वर्ड इस लैंग्वेज से?
उसके लिए हिस्टोरिकल तो एविडेंस होगा ना, लिटरेचर तो मिलेंगे हम लोगों को जहाँ पे वहां पे लिखा होगा वो वर्ड्स। मान लो हमने एक ठीक है एक एंडेंजर्ड लैंग्वेज ले लिया, माइनॉरिटी लैंग्वेज ले लिया, वहां से हमने बोरो किया कुछ वर्ड्स, बाद में वो माइनॉरिटी लैंग्वेज डेड हो गए, राइट? तो आपका क्वेश्चन है हमको कैसे पता चलेगा कि वहां से हमने बोरो किया है? हिस्टोरिकल डॉक्यूमेंट्स तो हमारे पास होंगे, रिटन लिटरेचर तो मिलेगा कहीं ना कहीं। रिटन लिटरेचर में अगर वो वर्ड्स है तो वहां से हमको पता चल जाएगा उसका ओरिजिन क्या है। ओरिजिन खोजना ज्यादा मुश्किल नहीं है, एंड वी हैव टू डिपेंड ऑन द रिटन लिटरेचर। और एक्सटेंड बोरो करने से लैंग्वेज मर जाएगा ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है। लैंग्वेज तभी मरते हैं व्हेन पीपल स्टॉप यूजिंग द लैंग्वेज, पीपल स्टॉप स्पीकिंग द लैंग्वेज। जब तक आप भाषा बोलते रहेंगे तब तक लैंग्वेज भाषा मरेगी नहीं. That's for sure. Only thing is that you have to keep on using the language. इवन अगर लैंग्वेज स्पोकन बाय 100 पीपल तभी वो लैंग्वेज सर्वाइव कर सकते हैं, प्रोवाइडेड कि आप लोग और स्पीकर वो लैंग्वेज यूज करें. बट अगेन कमिंग बैक टू योर पॉइंट, आप कहीं से भी बोरो कर सकते हो और प्रूफ के लिए हिस्टोरिकल एविडेंस काफी है उसको जानने के लिए कि उसका ओरिजिनल सोर्स क्या है क्या नहीं है. जैसे अभी मैं जितने सारे एग्जांपल्स दिए वो सब तो हिस्टोरिकल एविडेंस है ही, किताब में है ही वो सब कि ये वर्ड उस लैंग्वेज में है. वहां से हमको पता चल जाता है कहाँ कहाँ से वर्ड्स आए हैं. वो मैं क्लियर कर पाया.
So, very useful lecture, very useful talk by Professor Ajit Kumar Vaishya sir. Now I request Mrs. Saida Uzia Parmini to deliver the vote of thanks for the sir.
Respected dignitaries, it's Saida Fozia Farmin, Assistant Professor of Government Model College, Kaziranga. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to offer vote of thanks for this session of 2 weeks refresher course organized by UGC Malavia Mission Teacher Training Center and Assam University, Silchar. I would like to offer my sincere gratitude to Professor Ajit Kumar Vaishya sir for his insightful lecture on the topic language borrowing. Next, I would like to offer vote of thanks to all the participants without whose presence the session would not have been successful. And last but not the least, I would like to offer vote of thanks to all the teaching and non-teaching staff of Assam University whose cooperation has made the event successful. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Saida. Our next resource person is over here. So we will start within next 5 minutes.
What I said. Thank you all.
Before that, I want to felicitate our Dean sir. So as a token of appreciation.
Decision.
So welcome you all. Our next. Welcome you all. Our next. Our next resource person is with us, Dr. Rajiv Kumar Panda, and I request Dr. Sudha Devi M to introduce our resource person and to welcome address. Dr. Sudha Devi.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Very good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Warm greetings and good afternoon once again. I am Dr. M. Sudha Devi, Assistant Professor of English, SRNM College, Satur, Tamil Nadu. My heartfelt congratulations, gratitude, special salute for the organizing committee members for your splendid planning for the successful ongoing 2-week refresher course. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to welcome the dignitaries in both on and offline. On behalf of our organizing committee, I would like to welcome all the prolific professor participants in and around this cosmos. I'm much delighted to welcome and to highlight Dr. Raju Kumar Panda's successful star-studded professional achievements. Sir is the Dean of the School of Mass Communication, School of Film and Media Sciences, and School of Fashion Technology at KIT deemed to be University, Bhubaneswar, where he also serves as an associate professor. He additionally oversees the operation of Kalinga Bharati 90.0 FM, university's community radio station, which serves as a platform for education, awareness, and community engagement. He possesses merely 24 years of experience in teaching, specialized in the media industry, film and TV production direction, electronic cinematography, journalism, and photography. Dr. Raju Kumar Panda is a certified trainer with the Google News Initiative India Training Network, AI for Digital Readiness and Advancement, which is supported by google.org and BBC Young Reported India. With this note, now I invite resource person to lead us into the session. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhaji. Now our old friend, Dr. Rajiv Panda is over here. He is the dean of, I think, preschool. And now I request Dr. Panda to deliver his talk.
Thank you, Govind sir. It's a pleasure because I am also an alumni of this prestigious university. I did my PhD from here, and it's a privilege for me to be here after 2017. When I was traveling, from the airport to the guest house, I saw lots of changes that has happened over a period of 8 years. So after that, in 2021 is though I was in Delhi, so I shifted to Bhubaneswar. So currently I'm part of KIT University. That is one of premier university in Eastern India. So when sir gave me the opportunity to be part of this, then that was a golden moment for me, to be here. So I'm once again thankful to Govind sir, thankful to the vice chancellor, and, the registrar, and all the administrative officer, and research scholar and participants. Hope you people will enjoy 1.5 hour with me. I always consider myself as a learning person, because that designation is permanent with me. Unlike all other designations, they are temporary. So when I am here, we all will complement each other, and we all will learn from each other. As in my introduction, it was introduced that I'm a tech person. because my journey is completely, like zigzag from physics to, like film school to communication. And now, like my university has given me some added responsibility of fashion, like as well. And I am also a part of, like that artificial intelligence development and readiness program by Data Leads and ABPN. So when, like I was talking to Sir while, like finalizing the topic, obviously, like artificial intelligence, AI is, as a, like technology person, that is, you can say that is in my blood. And then we thought of, how to combine this, like artificial intelligence, because when AI is there, lots of, like ethical issues, ethical concerns, like that is there. Like many people, like they are advocating, like we should not use artificial intelligence in our research and all other things. But being a, like a tech person, what I always believe is, we can't, like just negate this technology from our life. Like at this point of time, like I can't say someone, like to go to the bank, to stand in the queue, like to withdraw 500 or 1,000 rupees, because everyone is doing UPI and all these things. And smartphones are more smarter than us. Like they have outsmarted us. If you will see, they know, even if like I always jokingly say that, like my smartphone knows me better than my wife. Right? Because many information, whatever I am doing, like that is being, like captured here when 24/7, like my this thing is open. So that's why, like we thought of, like how to ethically use artificial intelligence in, like language studies and social sciences, rethinking, like research in the digital age. And I have also added some, like aspects from the Bharatiya Gyan Parampara, that Indian, like knowledge system. But prior to that, like let me start with a story, because that's a very, like important story. That is the story of an eagle. So you will, like like you will enjoy this story, because everywhere it is story writing. So when like storytelling, story writing. So when like we are telling some stories, so whether we can tell that story in that way or not, whether like ethics is there or not, even if nowadays, though right to privacy is fundamental rights given by like our government, but everywhere, like if you will see CCTV cameras, like all these things, like that is there. You are not aware, like you are being, like recorded when you are at public places, even in private places, everywhere, like we are doing the recording of each and every individual. So though, like we are talking like right to privacy, but what about the ethics? Like when we are taking, like pictures of someone who is standing on the road, whether we are taking permission or not. So all these things, like that is like there. So lots of questions that is there. So let me say like this. हाँ सिर्फ मैं दोबारा शेयर कर रहा हूँ. I will be, like reshuffling between 2-3, like PowerPoint presentations. Yes. So this is, like the eagle rebirth. I don't know how many of you have heard this, like story. My PPT is, like there. If you will see, the eagle has the longest lifespan within its species. Now, like an eagle can live up to, like 70 years. But if you will see, to reach the age of 70, like eagle faces lots of problems. So in its 40s, if you will see, the long, flexible, the talons, the claws of the eagle are no longer able to grab prey, like which serves as food. So making it very difficult, creating difficulty in, like eagle's life. Then eagle's long and sharp beak becomes bent, and the old-aged feathers, the heavy wings, like they stuck to each other, like making it very difficult to fly. So what happens in the eagle's life is, like eagle is left with two options. Either the eagle will wait for death, or like eagles should go through a painful process of change, like which lasts, like 150 days. Let me tell you very clearly, like we are also at this juncture, like the intelligence, the artificial intelligence, agentic AI, like many things, like that is, like coming up. So we are also having, like two options. Either we should adopt the technology, we should go hand in hand with the technology, or we should wait for our death. Like two options. It is according to me. It is my, like perception. So the choice is, like, like that is rest to, like all the participants. Like I am not forcing anyone. Like you should use, like AI. But it is my opinion. So obviously the eagle, like opted the second option, the painful process of 150 days. The eagle will, like fly to the mountain top, create its nest. After that, the eagle will beak it, the eagle will knock its beak against the rock, and like will try to plucking it out completely. Like the beak. After that, the eagle will wait for a new beak, and after that new beak will also pluck out all the old aged feathers, and after 5 months, the transformation process, the eagle will have the famous flight, and the eagle will live up to 30 more years. If you people are liking, like the way I narrated this story, so please, like give a thumbs up. Those who are, like online, I can see, like offline, like members, people are smiling, but I can't see those offline, like participants. If you are liking my thing, then, like you can just share a, like thumbs up, not the thumbs down. I have just started my lecture, so it will be very early to, like judge me. Don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So it means, like you all are, like actively, like participating, like in this, though, like it's, from the COVID, like I always, like consider myself immortal, like those who have, like passed that stage. So they are, like, and the biggest achievement, like during the COVID is this kind of, like online hybrid, like lecture mode. So that's why, like we all are here. So I traveled, like from Bhubaneswar in the morning, and I am here. So if I will say, how many of you, like those who are here, how many of you are believing that the story that I narrated right now is completely true? Just raise your hand. Those offline participants, how many of you are thinking that the story that I narrated is okay? They are, like hands up. Yes, it's true. It's true. You can also, like, I am a learning person. You can also, like give your interjection, like to me. Okay, now people are confused. This story, like every time, yes, people are writing it is true. I am also a trainer for Google News Initiative, where, like I do training, like how to differentiate between information, misinformation, and disinformation. The story that I narrated right now is a completely misinformation. Right, it's a story. You can Google it out. You can check it out. But most of the species in eagle, they can live up to 20 years. It's a complete story. I told, na. So this is the narrative, like power. Now it's completely fake. It's completely, like fake. But like you can use this. You can use this as, like for your inspiration. So now you just tell me, is it ethically right or wrong? So ethics is always, like debatable, right? Suppose, for example, if you are having, like 5 life-saving injections, right? And you are having 5 young persons, and each young person will require only 1 injection of that life-saving, that drug. But there is another 80 years old, like if you will give all the 5 to that person, then that person, will be able to survive. So which one you will choose?
Why young? Why not old? So it's always it's always debatable. And like it's always debatable. So in the age of like AI, I'm just sharing. Stop sharing this. I will share another. Like my window. You just see. Are you all liking like my lecture? Though it is very hard to say no. Like on the face of a like teacher, but like I don't consider myself as a teacher. Like I always consider myself as a storyteller. I always try to like engage my participants. You all are like equally like learned. Only thing is like I have collected something and I have curated something and like I'm presenting it like on your behalf. Thanks to like Govind sir, like for your faith, like inviting me. Okay, just cutting it short, the story. Let's go to that like the artificial intelligence thing. Like I will just introduce few like artificial intelligence tools, and after that we will be coming to this. I don't know how many of you are like using artificial intelligence. If I will take the poll, almost like more than 99% people will say that like they are using artificial intelligence. But always remember, if you are using artificial intelligence with your intelligence, then you are doing the right thing. If you are using artificial intelligence as your slave, then it is the right thing. You should not be slave of artificial intelligence, right? And the future need, if you will see in this, like the presentation, AI and future of skills, like we need artificial intelligence will not replace us. Always remember, but people with our AI skills will replace us if we will not learn artificial intelligence. So that's why like I always tell, like many teachers, like they used to say that all these students, like they are using sir, like artificial intelligence, and whenever we are giving some assignment, so we are asking them to submit handwritten assignments on all these things. Well, I said I have like every problem is having a solution, so that's why the name is problem, isn't it? And so why? I'm very positive, right? And my blood group is also B positive. I can't be negative. So the thing is, if you will see, every problem is having like solution. So the kind of solution that I am giving to my students, I am giving them assignments and I'm asking them, you use artificial intelligence, and all these people are surprised. How come, sir, you are allowing us to use intelligence? Well, who am I to stop you, and tell you that, like, don't use artificial intelligence? But there is a condition. Like we people are from advertising, so you will see that star mark, conditions apply. So my condition is, whatever, assignment that you will submit, I will ask 20 questions from that. Right? Each question will carry 0.5 marks. So whatever, right, like if you are giving 10 answers right, then, like you will, like get 10 marks or, like 5 marks. So it means you have to study. So we have to, like force, like our students, like to study. So otherwise they will use, because this artificial tool is so fascinating. I don't know how many of you are using napkin AI. How many of you are aware about napkin AI? NAPKIN, napkin AI. Yes. Yes. Ma'am, like napkin AI will convert your text into visuals. I can show it to you. Again, I am stop sharing. I am just, napkin AI. You just see, like all these technologies are so fascinating. You can't stop. Like I can't tell you people, like not to use the smartphones. If people will not be using smartphones, then what are you doing here? Go to Himalaya. Go to the top of the Himalaya and like live there. If you are here, then obviously you have to use like this smartphone. So let me share this screen like once again. So this is napkin AI. Those who are online, like they can browse it, like in their like laptop. So is it visible? Napkin AI, yeah, it is just coming thanks to technology. Yes, now it is there. So this napkin AI will convert your visuals convert your text into visuals, right? And you all must be aware of Gamma, like Gamma AI. So Gamma AI we use to create presentations, like that I will also, like show it to you. So many things, like that is there. And even if I will also tell you, like suppose if you are using the pre Gamma version, how to remove that, like made by Gamma. If you will go to your PowerPoint presentation, go to that, like view button, view slide master, and you can be able to delete that, like made by Gamma thing. Like it is just a matter of, like only 1 minute. You will be able to delete everything. And then like go to this napkin AI, and then, like you can convert your text into visuals. Like I'm just, like copy pasting it. I'm just copying it. So this is my thing. I am creating a new napkin. This is blank napkin. Are you able to see this? This is blank napkin. So if I will be pasting it here, the text is here, right? And after that, you will be able to see it is just taking a minute. Just create a new napkin. Let me see this. So the text that I am giving it to this napkin, so the napkin will convert the text into different, like visuals. So net is a bit slow. So like, let me tell you, like Gamma is there. Like you go to Gamma, whatever text you will be giving, so it will be converting, like your text into beautiful, like presentations. The free version will give you 10 slides, and something went wrong. Let me just refresh this window. How many of you are using Notebook LM by Google? Notebook LM. Anyone, any online participants, those who are using Notebook LM? Notebook LM is again, like very, very helpful, like to do review of literature and all these things. Notebook LM. But that is there, like we have to, like I am a pro technology person, like I can't, like when the flight from Bhubaneswar to Silchar is there and it is 5 hours, so I can't force someone like who can, like afford that flight. So I can't ask someone, okay, you just take a bus from, like Bhubaneswar, go to Kolkata, and from there, like take a train, and like all this. I can't tell, people to work in that way. But you have to use the technology, like very, very responsibly. Just let me see this. Yes, this is there. Let me create this napkin. I think already it is created. Napkin AI. In the Gamma. So this Gamma, like is there. I'm just opening it. I will give you, like that. Though there are, like yes. Just wait for 2 minutes. Yes, Gamma is there. You people are using, like Perplexity, which is free with, like Airtel. Gemini Pro is also free with Geo users, like for 1.5 years. And in Perplexity, you can, yeah, the pro one as well. In the Perplexity, you can also change the models. if you want to use ChatGPT 5.1, you can also use that. If you want to use Grok, you can also use Grok. So all the models are available in Perplexity. The only thing is you should know which button you should click. Okay, so this is the the gamma thing. So if you will I am only left with 45 credits. So if you will go to create with, so there are three options. Paste in text. If you have some paste, if you have some text, then you can paste it. And if you want to keep all your original text, that you can also retain. Then if you want to generate online, that is also possible. If you want to import some file or URL, that is also possible. All these things are possible. But the thing is we are talking about ethics, right? So when technology is available, we should use it or not, right? So that we will discuss another 10-15 minutes. I'm just showing it. It is generate, right? So in the generate, if I want to create anything on my own, this is the AI version. Suppose, for example, I will I want to teach a review of literature. So generate outline. So now it is creating outline. You just see how many seconds it is creating. A literature review, a comprehensive overview. What is a literature? So you just see this way 10 slides that will be create. Am I repeating those you people are already aware, or is it new to you people? New, no? Okay, yeah. I should not repeat. I should not waste my time. Repeating. Those things. Okay, so this is there. Then and you just see. So now all the outlines are there. If you want to change, you can also change. Now you just generate. So a beautiful PowerPoint presentation will be created now with images. So the thing is, now we all have to be AI generalists, right? It means whatever knowledge we have, as well as we must have the knowledge of artificial intelligence. Otherwise, people will not give us a job, because those who are with the AI knowledge, so they will replace us. So this is the PPT, a beautiful PPT, that is being created. So just 2 minutes, with beautiful pictures. So 10 slides, it is there. But always remember, artificial intelligence, the free version hallucinate a lot, right? The paid versions, they are good. But if you are using free, you have to be very careful. When you are taking some freebies, then you have to be very careful. But if you are using the paid version, then you will get perfect thing out of that. But still lots of bias and all that is there, that we will be discussing. So now this PPT number 7 slide, that is in generation, some common challenges, beautiful slide. So you can just do one thing. You can go to any either Gemini deep research, because in Gemini deep research is also there. Another option that is inbuilt. You can go to Grok. You can go to DeepSeek. You can go to the ChatGPT. So all these models, Perplexity. So all these different models are they have also some special characteristics. So you should know which thing you should use for your job. So it's 10 slides. You just see that is already being now created. So you can just download it. You can also download it. Remember, a literature review is not just an academic exercise, it's the intellectual foundation, right? So now it is being created. So here are you able to see this share option, the share? So in this share, you have this export, right? So in the export, you have all these options: export to PDF, export to PowerPoint, export to Google Slide. So let me export it, the PowerPoint one. So now my PowerPoint is being, downloaded. Okay, so that is there. So let me share my whole screen so that instead of a tab, yes, my entire screen. The entire screen, yes. Share. So my screen is there. So I'm going to the download. Show my screen anyway. Okay, I'm presenting. Okay. If I will share the entire screen, sir.
Share entire screen.
Entire screen. Entire screen. Share. इसको मैं मिनिमाइज कर सकता हूँ. So now, is it coming? The literature review, the slide, is it coming? No, it's not yet. Okay, not yet. Okay. ओके सर, थोड़ा सा आने में टाइम लग रहा है, विंडो कर देते हैं सर. पूरा वो करने में टाइम लग रहा है. हाँ हाँ वही है, वो भी करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, बट प्रेजेंटेशन इज स्टार्टिंग. लिटरेचर रिव्यू. ओके, ये वाला टैब होगा. नहीं सर, ये तो आया, लेकिन मेरे को ये वाला नहीं करना है, मेरे को पीपीटी वाला शेयर करना.
सर आप ऑल्ट दबा के टैब दबाते जाइए, जितना भी विंडो है आपके स्क्रीन में आ जाएगा. वो जो आपको ओपन करना है वो सिलेक्ट कर लीजिए.
ओके ओके. Yes, so this is the literature review, like PPT that we just, created by using Gamma. Yes, so it is there. But the problem is, if you will see, this made with Gamma is here. So made with. So many people, what they do is they usually crop, take the image and all these things. So if you will go to this view, are you able to see this? The view. In the
Yes,
view, if you will go to slide master, I'm clicking the slide master. So now this made with Gamma, I can easily delete. Go to each slide, delete. Delete. So this made with Gamma will be, deleted easily. Okay, got it. And then, you just, close this. So now that made with Gamma is not there. But sometimes what happens, I told you like this, understanding the landscape, right? Suppose if I want to, convert this much of text into image. So what I will be doing is, I will go to that napkin AI. It is already, like there. So this napkin AI. That's napkin AI. Yes, so this napkin AI is there. So you can create a get napkin free. I have already created my account here. I will go to new napkin. I have already created, like from the text. Already this text is there. So are you able to see this one? This Bijli Ka Rani, this lightning effect, this one. So if you will create this one, then what will happen is this will convert your text. You just see the conversion process into like images, and you can also change as per your wish, whatever like that like you want to use. Like you just see, different styles is being created. So this napkin AI will convert your like text into visual. So similarly, if you will go to Notebook LM, so there is another like Notebook LM by Google. So there you can upload more than 50 PDFs, and you can also search. Like give certain keywords, and you can search. Like that. I am just sharing it. This is Notebook LM. So this Notebook LM. So these are few, like artificial, like AI thing that is there. Like I can't stop you people, like asking that, don't use this, because technology is there. People will use it. Like whatever, the government, they are trying to curb, like all these social media and all these things, but they are not able to do it because they can't. This is, like Notebook LM. So in this Notebook LM, what you will be do is, like try Notebook LM. So in this, you can upload 50 PDFs, and you can also search. Like it is loading technological. Yes, are you able to see this? So here I have uploaded, like 3-4 things. Right, so you can upload, like many PDFs. You can give even if YouTube video URLs, whatever you want to give. Like you can give it, and after that, here you can search whatever, like your key area, key theme. You can search. Like so that way. Suppose you have downloaded, like 50 research papers. So there is no need to waste reading, like all the 50. Because sometimes what happens after reading that paper, you found that like this paper is not at all relevant, like to your thing. So you have wasted your time. So it is better to search whether this paper is relevant to your work or not. So you can do it. Like whatever. Like for example, how does cinematic use of obsolete technologies map marginalized Bombay spaces? So like it is searching out of these three. It will not hallucinate. Notebook LM will not hallucinate, because you are giving some solid, like PDF documents, and this technology is searching out of those documents. So that's why, like this doesn't, like hallucinate. So this way, and even if, like the audio overview is also there, like you are on the go, you want to listen. So this will create beautiful podcast. The audio, you want to create mind map will also be created. So all these, like things, like that is there. So this is the power of, like artificial intelligence. And I have, like hope, like I am like giving you something, of substance, like you will be, like use it, like for your work purpose. So are you all with me? If you are liking, like my thing, then, like just give a thumbs up. I am seeing, like happy faces here. So I should not ask these people. Yes, like 1, 2, 3. So you just see those who are giving thumbs up, give them the certificate. And that person, like they are bombarding with thumbs up. So you give them, like one certificate from my side. Okay. So now, like this is the power, like, so when this is the power, you like see, this is the pure psychology. People in Delhi metro will behave differently when they are inside the metro station. Outside the metro, so they are just like typical, like Indians. Inside the metro, like whatever, like, even if they are having some gutka or pan or whatever, so they will take everything inside. They will not spit it out. But outside the metro station, inside the metro, because there is a fine that fear, like, so no, Govind sir will, like give, even if those who are sleeping, like in this, like presentation, the certificate. So this is the beauty of, like online system, because in online mode, we only talk to profile pictures. Sometimes the profile picture is not there. Only, like S, N, D, like all these things, M. So, okay. So, like jokes apart, because I always, like I'm a technology person. So what I generally do is, I teach, like everything in a very humorous way. Otherwise people will feel boring. Like, yeah, another, Newton is here, and telling, like that is just going above our head. So it's not like that. Okay. So thank you very much. Like you people are still, like with me, because it is very difficult. Like after 3, though, like thanks to Govind sir, like since, like when I started teaching, so every time I usually get my lecture after 2. I don't know whether, like I'm a very good teacher, so that's why, like everyone, like likes to give me the session after 2, or because I'm very energetic, or like maybe, like organizer think that, okay, like after 2, this person whatever will say, the people will, like just digest it. There's a question. Yes. Sir, please tell how to use Hindi text in AI, which font to be used in it. So, like if you will see Ola, they, like they are also creating Krutrim AI. So in that, like Hindi text is there. So you can use lots of translation tools. Like you can, like. But in the translation, like sometimes, the meaning, like that is being, like changed. But like the Hindi, like AI thing, so that is under development. The government of India is also doing, like many have taken, like many initiatives, like for that.
The ministry has the project named Anuvadini for all Indian languages. The very good project.
So yes. So all these things are there.
Tools are there in Anuvadini.
Anuvadini, yes.
They are developing.
So when like when we are talking about ethics, so I found one, like one very good, like paper. That was, this is the paper. So is it there? Share this tab. Yes. So this paper, you just see, like this is again, like a kind of experiment. So the article was 6 historic philosophers and their views on AI. So all these historic philosophers, they are dead, but like they are, like knowledge, what they have disseminated, like that is there. Like I will share this link with you. Like if you will see, so in this, like ChatGPT-4 found Aristotle being neutral towards AI. Right. So they gave, like the logic, like because Aristotle was versatile philosopher, like wrote a variety of topics. And so this person gave, like GPT-4, whatever, like philosophy, whatever things, like that was there. And, like artificial intelligence told that, like Aristotle is neutral, like towards AI. Then if you will find Charles Darwin, very optimistic, very optimistic. If you will see Confucius, then like pessimistic. If you will find Immanuel Kant, like neutral. Albert Einstein, very optimistic. Like Karl Marx, pessimistic. It's a very interesting, read. I will share the link with Govind sir, so sir will share it with all the, participants. You people can, go through that. There is a small also video. So, is it there? This tab, yes. So can I play this, sir? Yes. Oh, you just see, I told na, all these are very smart because I just tried notebook LM and then
वीडियो का वॉइस
नहीं सुनाई देगा.
आप लिंक शेयर कर दीजिए.
ओके, तो मैं आपको शेयर कर दूंगा.
AI has opened a new continent, and humanity is setting foot on its shores. Since humans have walked the planet, we've always been the most impressive, intelligent beings. But today, AI is forcing us to ask the question, what does it mean to be human, to live a flourishing human life? Major moments in science and technology shed new light on long-standing philosophical questions. Copernicus dislodged us from our central position in the cosmos. Charles Darwin and his theory of evolution situated us among the animals. And Albert Einstein and his theory of relativity revealed the limits of our senses and our bare intuition. Now in the age of Turing, technology pushes us to philosophy once again. Philosophy offers not godlike wisdom, but a powerful set of tools of inquiry to move past dogma, past tribalism, and navigate the journey ahead. And the stakes have never been higher. For the past 200,000 years, humans have created technology as tools, as means to our ends. But today, we're creating technology in AI that has the potential to shape both the means and the ends of human endeavor. The printing press never determined what was printed, but today, 20% of human discretionary time is mediated by algorithms that do determine what information is consumed and even how we decide what's good for us. The upside potential of the technology is cancer. Today, a doctor can feed medical images to AI, and AI can detect tumors. Tomorrow, AI may even be able to expand our fundamental knowledge of cancer, acting like a human, and maybe even much better. But what happens when the technology evolves from a tool to an overseer? What happens when it starts to substitute for our most essential human capacities? One risk is that for the sake of incremental convenience, we offload big aspects of our existence to a kind of super intelligent schoolmaster that tells us what to think and what to do. Another is that we create a governance structure to control the technology that ends up doing the same. How do we realize the benefits of AI while protecting the active use of freedom, that precious gift of modernity that allows us to realize what makes us essentially human? Today, there are two primary philosophies in the AI field. The first is existential pessimism, or the view that AI poses a dire risk to humanity. This school wants to hit the pause button. But imagine hitting pause before Darwin, before Einstein, or at any point in human history. The losses to humanity would have been incalculably large. In an open society, hitting pause is as impossible as it is unwise. But what is possible, and even likely, is that the quest to optimize the world for safety ends up creating a governance structure that suffocates innovation, harms freedom, and amplifies bad actors. The opposing school, accelerationism, embraces the power of markets and the role of optimism. But some of the leaders of this movement neglect to put the human at the center. For them, technology shifts from being a means to being the sole end of human life. Some of these individuals want to accelerate towards the moment when humans pass the baton to AI as the next link in the evolutionary chain. Now, I understand the appeal of saving humanity from extinction. I understand the appeal of building God. But both of these philosophies are misguided. What we need is a genuinely positive, humanistic vision for the future of AI. Here are 3 steps to get there. Step 1, the North Star. Just like the North Star gives you direction, any new AI philosophy needs to be oriented around the goal of human flourishing. Human flourishing here means discovering and developing your unique gifts and applying them to become the person that you aspire to be. We need AI and its governance to serve humans rather than humans serving it. Step 2, the compass. A compass is a tool to help us navigate, to help us make decisions along the way. There are 3 points on the AI compass. 1 is human autonomy, 2 is reason, and 3 is decentralization. Human autonomy is the state of being free in our mind and in our actions. Aristotle taught that autonomy was essential for the full realization of our highest capacities and to live by our well-considered choices. Without autonomy, we shift from free agents to passive agents who are increasingly dependent on algorithms to tell us what to do and how to think. Reason is the superpower we use when our mind considers alternatives in pursuit of the truth. John Stuart Mill fought for the widened access to diverse and competing opinions because he thought it was essential for the pursuit of truth and the cultivation of reason. If AI causes reason to atrophy, humans will slip into dogmatism, intolerance, and persecution. And fields of endeavor that depend on reason, like science, will stall. Decentralization is like having millions of mini captains instead of one big boss at the top. When Alexis de Tocqueville stepped on the shores of America, he saw a nation characterized by spontaneous association of individuals who, from the bottom up, were rallying together around common interests. If we lose decentralization, then individuals will succumb to the strong centralizing forces in society, whether that is majority opinion on social media, state control, or a super intelligent master planner. Step 3, navigating the new world. How do we use the North Star and the compass to start navigating this new world? 250 years ago, America's founders came together to build this philosophy to law pipeline. Today, we need to build a philosophy to code pipeline. We need to bring practitioners together with philosophers to translate these vital concepts of human autonomy, reason, and decentralization into the planetary scale systems shaping our future. To do this, we're helping create the first AI lab in the world dedicated to translating the principles of human flourishing into open source software. It's called the Human-Centered AI Lab at Oxford University. Top technology talent, more than ever before, needs to build systems that are animated by this North Star of human flourishing. But this requires cultivating a new kind of technologist, a technologist that has world-class AI talent on the one hand, and also deep capacity for philosophical thought on the other. Then we need to support those individuals who can build provocative new prototypes to show us how AI and human flourishing come together. We're at a pivotal point in human history, taking first steps into the unknown. If we follow the North Star, if we use the compass, we can settle on this new continent. We can build a vibrant society from the ground up, and we can ensure that technology amplifies human potential and doesn't diminish it. From Copernicus to Turing, it's time to once again find our place in the cosmos.
So, if you will see, I was reading the book by Satya Nadella, Hit Refresh, CEO of Microsoft. If you will see in that book, after Satya Nadella took over as the CEO of Microsoft, so they are now more empathetic in nature, whatever they are producing, whatever software they are producing. So there is a very thin line of, am I audible to, yes. So there is a very thin line of, the difference between sympathy and empathy. So in that book, it is written, while attending, after becoming the CEO, so Satya Nadella and other team members were attending one leadership, workshop. So during that workshop, the resource person asked Satya Nadella that, if you will see a child, sitting alone in the middle of a road, then what you will do? So Satya Nadella is usual, the way we answer, in India, we will say that we will call 100, we will call to the police. So then that person told that Satya, please have some empathy. Don't be sympathetic. So they you can say created a storm in the mind of Satya Nadella, and after that he was after resource person and asked then you just give me one example, what is sympathy and what is empathy, because everyone will do this when we see small child on the middle of a road, then obviously we will call the police. We're yes, so that everyone does because they are sympathetic towards that situation. So empathy is when you are seeing a small child sitting on the middle of a road, you should go there, you should console that child first, so that will be empathy. And after that you can call to the police. So there is a very very thin line of a difference there between sympathy and empathy. So whatever we people are doing, so we should be empathetic in our nature. So when we are using this, so we have to be empathetic in our nature. So if you will see what is ethics, when we are talking about ethics, so ethics is not only just listing out do's and don'ts. It is basically a kind of, you will see it's a very philosophical inquiry. So we always see we as communication researchers, so whatever we do, we always see the political economy of that thing. Suppose this microphone, so we will see what is the politics behind this microphone and what is the economics behind this microphone. So we are that much research oriented. So when we are talking about ethics, so this is basically a kind of philosophical inquiry, what is good, what is right, what is beneficial, within a specific socio cultural context. So in my presentation, what I have done is, so I have presented from three different lenses the ethics. One is normative ethics, second one is applied ethics, and third one is meta ethics. So when I'm talking about the normative ethics, this is basically the way we act, the way we conduct. The foundations are based upon our morality, our virtues, our duties, our consequences. But when I am talking about the applied ethics, so the way we are applying that into our life, ethics of privacy, ethics of academic writing, ethics of data collection, AI ethics, digital ethics, platform ethics. Then there is another, that is meta ethics. This meta ethics. There is a very crucial question. What does right even mean? The way I asked. That story I narrated, the eagle story, or whether it is right or wrong. If I am using it for some to influence someone, to persuade someone, then obviously my intention is right. So there are three lenses. But prior to that, we have to also discuss the difference between ethics and rules. When we are talking about ethics, the ethics is basically combination of values plus principles. And ethics, if you will see, they are internal, they are flexible, they are contextual. They are basically based on moral reasoning. The way I reason, whatever I am doing, we give lots of reason to our thing. And I always consider why like in India, like we people are very poor in understanding the research. So there are very good researchers, like I am not claiming that, like everyone, but I am talking about me. Like my personal example, if you will ask me whether you are a good researcher or not, so I see, like if my parents in my childhood, if they would have, like told me everywhere yes, then, like at this present time, my position, like should be at a different level, like as a researcher. Because from our childhood, whatever we try to do, everyone says no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Like if you will compare, like I think within 5 years, like you hear, like more than a million no from everyone. If you will try to stand, then no, 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 don't stand. If you will write, no, 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 don't do that. So everywhere, no. So they have, like killed our, like research skills. So I always urge, like the new parents that like, don't say no to your child. Always say yes. Like just give them to do the, like that experimentation. And when we are talking about the rules, so rules are, like instructions, and, like we enforce, like those things because they are very rigid. Like they are very, like authoritative in nature. Why, like when we are talking about AI ethics, why AI ethics requires this, like distinction? Because AI follows some rules, but as humans, we should follow ethics. We should follow ethics because AI is based upon data. What is the food for AI? The data. If your data is biased, then you will get a biased result. I always say, like if you are getting garbage out of, like AI, when you are giving the prompt, right? So if you will put garbage as prompt to the AI, then the result will not be that good. I don't know whether you people are using that magic prompt formula or not. The magic prompt formula, sometimes what happens when you are doing something, you just write, okay, like write an email, I got this, write an email. So you are not defining yourself, who you are. So first thing when you are giving a prompt is, you first define who you are. You can ask AI that act like, like whenever I give a prompt, I always give, like act like Dean of School of Mass Communication, School of Film and Media Science, School of Fashion Technology, Kid deemed to be university. So I am defining my role. And after that, I give prompts. So then the AI will think, okay, I have to behave like a dean. Because AI is also confused whether the AI will behave like a student, like a research scholar, like a 5th standard student, like a college, like graduate. So first define the rule, like the role, and after that you give, like that thing. Like sometimes what happens, like if you will see machines, they operate through, like logic, but humans, they operate through judgment, operate through conscience, cultural knowledge, context sensitivity. I'm giving, some examples. Like sometimes the rule is students must submit assignments by this time. So that is the rule. But ethical question is, what if a student had certain medical conditions? So that belongs to ethics. Teacher, like is not considering everyone, and the teacher is considering them as a whole. Okay, like you have to submit. If someone is at medical, then how can that student will be able to? So we have to, like apply, like ethics. So rule says deduct marks, but ethics will say understand the context and be fair. Like, so for example, like in my university, I was having 2 superstars, like superstars of Odia film industry. They were doing their masters. So all the teachers were after their life. They are not coming regularly to the college. Their attendance is less than 75%. So when I joined, this university, okay, that is rule. But ethics is saying that they are already established, like actors. Like they are not dependent upon us. They are just doing it, like they want, like some master's degree. So we have to, like think it, like in a different way. We should not be, like completely, like strict. Similarly, in research writing, if you will see, so rule says do not plagiarize, but ethics says give credits where credit is due. So I always jokingly say, like when you are copying from one, that is plagiarism. If you are copying from many, that is research. Okay, just jokes apart, like so ethics says, like give, like credits. Like in social work practice, the rule says maintain confidentiality of case files, but ethics says protect vulnerable individuals from harm. Protect vulnerable individuals from harm, because the rules says do not disclose, but ethics says disclosure is necessary to like protect the child. So all these things, like we have to use. So this is the clear distinctions between like AI, the ethics and the like rules. Sometimes ethics like overrides like rules, because rules are minimum standards, but ethics are higher standards. Like these are the minimum standards, but ethics are like higher standards, because the rules allow collecting data from social media, but ethics ask whether it harms users or not. Rules allow automated translation, but ethics question cultural accuracy and misrepresentation. So all these like examples are there. So this is basically like don't behave like a machine, like don't do like rule based like thinking. Always like think like human. So that's why I told that like human intelligence with artificial intelligence will replace human intelligence. Human intelligence with artificial, only artificial intelligence can't replace human intelligence. Human intelligence with artificial intelligence, they will really outsmart us. But when we are talking about this Indian knowledge system perspective, then we have this, in IKS, we have dharma, we have niti, we have satya, we have like ahimsa. Like when we are talking about dharma, dharma is our like ethical duty. And when we are talking about niti, niti is like wise judgment. When we are talking about satya, satya means commitment to truth. And we are talking about ahimsa because we are like from like Gandhi's country, like ahimsa, non-harm. So when we are talking about dharma, dharma is the ethical duty, because dharma is basically responsibility plus righteousness plus like contextuality, right action. It is not a rule. Dharma is not a rule. Dharma is a principle. Like we should follow like dharma. We should like follow this principle of ethically appropriate conduct depending upon these situations. Like the situation, the relationship, the consequences, and the greater like social good. So that's why like AI ethics is also important, because AI systems operate on rules, but humans must operate on dharma. Right. So like humans, like AI can't beat humans, but humans with that AI knowledge. Like I'm emphasizing on this, like statements. Like for example, when you are teaching with AI, so rule is students must not use AI to write assignments. But dharma says teacher's duty is to teach responsible use, not ban tools blindly. We should not ban tools. Like we are not, like we should not behave like Taliban. Right, but like we change, the country of India, like this is not a political statement, but you will see, when the Taliban foreign minister came on the very first day when they did the press conference, like women journalists, like they were not allowed, but on the second day they were allowed, because this is the like country of Gandhi, Gautam Buddha. So like whosoever will come to this country, like we will transform, like those persons, like those persons. So that's why like Indian knowledge system is you can say like this is essential, this is required. So dharma requires educating students about AI limits. We should educate like our students like how to use responsibly the AI instead of banning them. Like we should guide them like to use it very like ethically. We should ensure so that their learning is not compromised. It's not like that. Like when computer came in 1990s, lots of like people, they were on the street, like revolting against the government, that we will lose our like roles. We will they will lose their job. But now you just see everywhere it is computer. Earlier, to take a loan, you have to go to the bank. But now the situation is completely different. The bank is at your doorsteps. If you will ask me, like I took, like when I took my first home loan, so that time I visited almost 5 to 10 times the bank. But when I took recently 2 loans, if you will ask me where the branch is, I will not be able to tell you. Because they came to my office, I signed everything, they are taking the EMI on time. So everything is changing. So we should not limit AI, but we should use AI, like very, very, ethically. So in research, a researcher finds that AI generated data appears, inaccurate, but Dharma says verify before publishing. Whatever you people are doing, you can get, certain new insights as well. Suppose you are going to a doctor, suppose a busy doctor, right? A busy doctor will give you only 3 minutes. But if AI will be there with some, pre-questionnaire kind of thing, you just go, AI will ask, and you give all the correct answers. So when you are going to the doctor is having all the details about you. Then within that 2 minutes, doctor will be able to guide you in a proper way. So that is the responsible, use of AI. When we are talking about Niti, so Niti is basically the practical wisdom, knowing ourselves, right? So it recognizes the ethical choice because it depends upon context, culture, intention, and potential harms and benefits. Let me give you one example. Suppose you are translating some classical, text by using AI. So AI may translate Sanskrit or tribal text literally, missing cultural nuance. Not a missing cultural nuance. Like for example, a few years back, there was a joke, though it is being recorded, let me tell you, one government told, you have to use that particular language. Suppose in Odisha, they will ask all the officers to use, Odia, whatever it is. Right? Suppose if someone will say, 500 quintal of sugar is to be delivered to this particular district. So if someone is not aware the meaning of delivery in different context, then the meaning will be different. So this way, when you are using, so AI might commit some wrong. But the thing is, Niti says use AI as a tool, not as a translator, and you apply your human judgment. You apply your human judgment while interpreting the meaning, the cultural depth. So whatever you are doing, you have to use your judgment. I'm just quickly moving because already it is 1 hour 15 minutes. Talking about ahimsa, ahimsa is extremely relevant today, if you will see, because this is the commitment. I will say the complete, PPT with you all. It's not like that, you can take, few pictures of mine, when I'm delivering this, there is no need to take the picture of that. I will share this, I have also gathered, in this age, we are just a facilitator. So whatever PPT I have created, I will share it with everyone because I have collected, this information. It's not, everything, original. But I gave, some things, I applied some of my, existing knowledge, and then I created, this thing. So ahimsa is extremely relevant in, today's world. If you will see, AI can cause gender bias, I told you, because it depends upon data, lots of data. So whatever, if you will see lots of Western data, there is already biased. Lots of data is already biased. So when you are giving all this data as a food to artificial intelligence, then obviously the result, the way we will teach you, so the output will be like that only, right? So lots of gender bias, caste bias, misrepresentation, so all these things are there, and many of these harms are invisible, but in a longer run it creates lots of harm, right? So we have to use it very very ethically. Even if if you will try in Gemini or in ChatGPT to create a chubby face, you just give this prompt, but you are from you are from Silchar, our face and everything, it is totally different. So when you are giving this prompt to create a chubby face, then you just see the result. That result is already biased. You can try it at home. So we were talking about that normative ethics. So normative ethics is basically the fundamental moral question: how should we act? How should we act? So like when we are using AI, so we should ask ourselves whether I am using it very judiciously, responsibly, or I am like just copy pasting it. We can take the results of AI just for the inspiration, to get certain new insights, to get certain new knowledges. But we have to apply our own ethics, our own judgment to that result. That is, like utmost, like required. We should not deviate, like from that. So quickly, like I'm just going. So morality says, like what is good or bad action. So in classroom, helping a struggling student, it is morally good, but humiliating a student publicly, that is like morally wrong. So in AI, no rule may explicitly like forbid to use AI, but morally it is dishonest and undermines learning. So that's why like I told, whenever we are using AI, we have to be very responsible. I'm just going to that applied ethics. So when I am talking about applied ethics, it is the practical application of like moral reasoning. Like whatever we are doing, how should we act? How should we act in a specific situation? Let me tell you, there is a student, like in my class. So everyone is after that, like after that student's life. I think except me. And I always give, like my teachers, let's see, if a student is behaving in a certain way, so maybe that student must have certain, like past precedences, past events, past incidents. So we have to be very, very empathetic. It's not like that, like if someone is saying something, like it is always very difficult to ask questions, isn't it? I always say the biggest fear in our life is asking question to someone. That is our biggest, like fear. And fear 1.1 is asking a question to someone who is sitting next to you. Suppose when you are traveling, our Sari is, like traveling with me. So it is always very difficult. Fear 1.1. Then whether I should ask his name or not, whether I should start the conversation or not. So that is fear 1.1. Right. So, like maybe, like certain situations, certain, like factors must be there in the past, but we have to be ethically very, very, like right. Otherwise, what will happen? Like that comes under, like humiliation. Like if you were criticizing someone, I always appreciate, like there is no bad question. Like we can't, like there is no bad or good question. Can we, like define what is a good question and what is a bad question? There is no definition. Question is always a question. Question is not bad. Question is not good. Sometimes people say, like you have asked a very good question. If that person is telling you that, you have asked a very good question, it means that person is not having the answer with, like to your question. So that's why, telling that you have asked a very good, right, pertinent question. So that way, what will happen is, like your question is half answered. I have asked a very good question. Then like it is very easy to answer that question. So this is like applied ethics. So in specific situations, like Western like ethics focus protecting user data, avoiding surveillance without consent, maintaining confidentiality. But when we are talking about this like Indian knowledge system parallels, like we should use ahimsa, dharma and niti, like non-harm through misuse of personal or digital data. I always say, like when I was preparing for this lecture, then I found this Indian knowledge system is so rich, and it is very, very pertinent and relevant in like today's context. So when you are doing academic research, so being a researcher, like always, like your ethical response is obtain consent and anonymize data. Like when you are taking the data, like don't reveal from where like you have collected like that data. Use offline transcription if possible, because you will see nowadays lots of AI, ChatGPT and others, so they are giving options. If you are taking the paid version, then you can store, because now when you are using this online thing, na, so all these data are like stored in their server, but you can also store it locally. If you are taking the paid version of like all these artificial intelligence, so all this data will be stored in your computer hard disk. That is you can just disconnect the internet and you can use those artificial intelligence. When like you are recording someone, like I found like there is lots of AI to take minutes of the meeting. Like whatever I am saying now, if you will use Firefly's AI, and even if like all this Gemini and like Zoom, so they are having this taking notes automatically. But if you will see all those technologies, they will first ask your permission. Like when you are joining, so these like they are saying that this meeting is being recorded. It means they are giving you the warning that this meeting is being recorded. If you wish to join, else you leave. Right. So there is like lots of AI. Like there is one AI I always use, Firefly's AI. Firefly's AI is like will record everything and will create notes for me. There is no need of any personal assistant to take notes of like all these things. But for that, if I will use it here, then I have to take the permission of everyone. Many times what I have seen, like students, when they are discussing something with you, so they will secretly switch on their recording. Recording, like their intention is good. Like they should not miss, like anything, that they are discussing with you. But I always tell my student, when you are, like doing the recording, you first take the permission. That, sir, should I, record, like this conversation? So that is, like, whether you are taking consent. You are taking consent of, like that people. Suppose in the market, you are taking someone's close-up, a picture. So don't use that picture. Take the permission first. Take the picture. After that, go to that person and take the consent. Whether like you should, like that person is giving consent of like himself or herself to use this picture or not. If that person is saying then don't like, use my picture, you simply delete it. You simply delete it. So that is ethics. But many times, like we deviate. Like knowingly, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly also. Like when I told you Firefly's AI, someone will download and will use this without taking the permission. So that is, like ignorance. So that's why, like when we tell, like when we are spreading wrong information without any intention, that is known as misinformation. But if you are deliberately sharing some misinformation, so that becomes disinformation because you are deliberately doing it. Right? Suppose, like you got a message that, like in dengue mosquito bite season, apply coconut oil till the, like knee, and you are sharing it with everyone. So that is misinformation. But if you know that, like this information is wrong, obviously this information is wrong, then how come, like people living in high rises, they are affected by dengue? It's not like that, like mosquito will just fly, like this much of height, only 1 feet or 2 feet. It's not like that. And suppose if I am taking the recording, then I should explain how these recordings, like will be, like used. And the ethics of academic writing, when you are writing something, then, like we should, like be very truthful to ourselves. We should maintain the originality. It's not like that, like AI is there, like you will just go and lots of detection tools, like that is there. Many people, what they will be doing is, like they will take those and they will paraphrase and all these things, like that is, like that is ethically very, like wrong, like practice. And if you will see the AI writing, people will be able to detect it, like this is, like AI. So that's why, like, instead of, though I was aware of, like gamma, but I created this, by using this, like Google Doc, so that, like I have done, like some work and I have done some kind of preparation, like for my, like lecture. So when you are using AI tools, so AI can summarize, paraphrase, or generate content. But if scholars don't disclose AI assistance, so that's why nowadays when we are submitting a paper, so they are also asking us whether you have taken the help of AI or not. right? So there, you have to disclose, because we have to be very, like there is an ethics committee of, like every university, and you should go and, you should, like disclose what kind of AI, usages that you have done in your footnotes or acknowledgements. Verify all your AI generated, references. You have to verify it. Though, like they are, your job has become very easy after the introduction of, like AI, but, only the clerical jobs, but some intellectual jobs. So there, you have to do the brainstorming. So when you are collecting, the data, so consent, dignity, transparency, cultural sensitivity, that is there. Western focus is informed consent, participant safety, confidentiality, avoiding coercion. But when we are talking about our Indian knowledge system, Bharatiya Gyan Parampara, so ahimsa is there. We should always think avoiding, harm to those people, to the community, to the complete, yes, Dr. Champak, you have raised your hand. Okay, but so dharma and all these things, that is there, because I am left with only, 2-3 minutes. It's very, if you will see, whatever, I have discussed here, maybe it's, deontological theory, or, consequentialist, or, virtue based. So all these things, that is there. I will share the PPT. I will not go, the given time was 1 hour 15-20 minutes, but, I have exceeded that time. So I will share this, you go through, the PPT. If you will be having any questions, you can ask it later on. I will share my email ID. So, because it will take, just concluding, reflections about ethics, AI, and the human responsibility. So ethics is not about rules. Always remember, ethics is not about rules. Like, for example, in a university system, there are certain rules. When, we are doing this, conference in hybrid mode, so there are certain rules, right? But ethics is beyond that. You have to apply your wisdom when we are talking about, ethics. Now, because AI can only process the information, but you as humans, you can be able to apply your wisdom to that, right? So normative ethics that I told, that is basically how should we act, and dharma guides responsible action. When we are talking about applied ethics, so how do we act in context, certain context? So ahimsa and satya will anchor our decision making. When we are talking about meta ethics, this is about who defines what is right. So niti, in our Indian knowledge system, niti is there because niti demands cultural and, contextual, wisdom. So the central question is, can we make AI ethical, or must we make ourselves ethical in the age of AI? So if you'll see, technology will keep evolving, but ethical consciousness must evolve faster. Right? Technology is evolving, but this ethics, the ethical consciousness, it should evolve faster than the technology. But we must be way ahead. Our ethics must be way ahead than, those technical, evolutions. So ethical researcher in the digital age will use AI creatively, but not at all dependent upon AI. Now, but why we people are dependent upon AI? Because we people are not able to understand the basic things, right? I have seen, many, research, presentations. Though, lately, I jumped into research. Then what I found is, I did one, sir, conference. So our discussion was whether we should reject an abstract or not. So my opinion was, we should not reject any abstract. Who are we to abstract, who are we to reject someone's idea? If you are rejecting someone's idea, it is better, you give some qualitative suggestion of that particular abstract, and you also ask that we are selecting if you need some more guidance, then please come and like attend this conference. Many times what happens is people will just reject your idea, will just reject your abstract. And who you are to reject? Like when God has created us and God like hasn't rejected us, then who we the humans are to reject someone? So that's the ethics we should follow. And I always tell that like why like all these things is happening, because we are not able to tell our scholars in that way like how to do a proper like research. Like for example, if I will tell you that I want to create a COVID vaccine at this point of time, you just give me some funds, will you fund my idea? No, because already many vaccines are there. But suppose if I will tell you that I want to create a COVID vaccine in the form of an eye drop or ear drop, then you will say, oh, earlier it was injection, mRNA based and all these things, or like that oral. But this person is, the idea is very, like noble. Like wanted to create some eye drop, so that we will go and put only 2 eye drops as a vaccine. So all these things, like that is there. So we should be, like, because this was, like that ethics thing. So that's when I told we will not reject. Like we will give good suggestions and we'll ask that participant. If that participant wants to join us, then we are happy to, like have that person in that conference. If that person is thinking that no, like I need, like more vigorous work, then that person should simply say no to us. We will not reject anyone. So thank you very much, like participants, like listening, like to my thing, like always remember artificial intelligence is powerful, that I have written, but it is the ethical intelligence that defines a civilization, right? So always use AI as your slave. Don't be the slave of AI. Like I always use AI, like as my slave. And I am not at all dependent upon AI. I am using like many AI tools, but I am not totally dependent upon artificial intelligence, because I always think that otherwise, if we will stop thinking, then that reverse civilization will happen. Huh? We will again go to that because when like human brains, they think in a larger way. So suddenly, like from that Homo sapiens, that evolution happened. If we will stop thinking and if we will be completely dependent upon AI, then I think after 50, 100 years or 1,000 years, this human civilization will be completely extincted. So we are now endangered. But we humans in the age of artificial intelligence, like we should consider ourselves an endangered species. So thank you everyone. So any questions, anything like that is there, feel free to ask. Though I have exceeded, like 5 minutes, because this happens. Like when you give a storyteller, like the mic, then that person will not stop.
Thank you, Professor Rajiv Pandaji. Some movies and some web series are based on AI and are also there, जिसमें लोगों के इमोशंस के साथ में किस तरीके से खेल शुरू होता है. पहले लोग AI से जुड़ते हैं और हर चीज में परमिशन देते रहते हैं, मोबाइल को परमिशन देते रहते हैं. बाद में हमें ये पता चलता है कि हम आपस में भी जो बात कर रहे हैं वो कॉन्शियसली या अनकॉन्शियसली मोबाइल में डाटा उसका जा रहा है और वो डाटा जिसको चाहिए उसके पास पहुंच रहा है. और अकॉर्डिंगली अगर हमने कभी गूगल पे सर्च ना भी किया हो, तब भी मोबाइल में फेसबुक देखते समय या कुछ और देखते समय वो हमारे सामने आने लग जाता है. जो हम बात कर रहे हो, हमने कभी गूगल पे सर्च नहीं किया, हमने कभी मोबाइल पे टाइप नहीं किया, फिर भी वो अपना सामने रिफ्लेक्ट करने लग जाता है. अब वो इसलिए कि हम आपस में जब बात कर रहे होते हैं तब भी वो मोबाइल रिकॉर्ड कर रहा होता है. बिल्कुल, वो हमारी बातों को ले रहा होता है क्योंकि हम उसको परमिशन दे चुके हैं. तो विद आवर परमिशन दे आर डूइंग लाइक दैट. So if any question or queries are there?
Is there no question? Like everything is clear.
Everything is clear.
I'm such a good, like professor. How can one AI into research-based? Ma'am, like being a technology guy, like I always prefer, like in your review of literature, you use AI while doing the review of literature. When you are trying to find out research gap, so use AI. When you are thinking of any theoretical framework, then use AI. When you are, like framing your research objective and research question, use AI. When you are, like trying to incorporate some methodology, use AI, but not beyond that. And all these things, like when I'm saying using AI, it means using AI for your inspiration. Like, for example, if I am your guide, right? So in India, like we are expert of everything. Huh? We are jack of all trades. Because it's not like that. If I am from the film studies, so I will take only those, like film scholars to my forte. Sometimes what happens? Okay, no, you have a vacancy, so you take this student as well. So we are master of, like everything. I'm not demeaning, but like that is our, like versatility, because we are capable of. So that's why. But like suppose like when you are coming to me and you are discussing some theoretical framework. So my knowledge is also limited. I can remember only 20, 30, 40 maximum, like theories, not like beyond that. So in that, like I can like give certain prompts, like behave like a seasoned researcher. You are doing a PhD, like for your final dissertation. So can you suggest, like my topic is this. Can you suggest, like some like theories which are like being used across the globe? So then like you will see lots of theories, and then like you start studying those theories. So that way, like you are getting inspiration from that. Research is systematic inquiry. Major, like many times that I found is, like even if the research questions, that is not in order. Like understand will come first, explain will come first, or your suggestion will come first. So all these things, like you can use, like AI. In review of literature, you can use AI. In framing the objective, you can use AI. While, like thinking of certain new ideas, you can use AI. But when you are doing the research, when you are collecting the data, then don't use AI. Right? So, where, like always use it as your inspiration. AI is just like your co-guide. The way your guide is behaving, AI is your, like co-guide. But AI should not replace you. AI is not the researcher. So don't take AI as the researcher. Hope, like.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was very good answer, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
So now, may I request Dr. Ritukesh Sharma to deliver his vote of thanks.
Yes.
My question is, what is the difference between ChatGPT and other AI models? It is similar like the other models, or?
See, ChatGPT is also, like one generative, like AI. Gemini is also one generative AI. Perplexity is also generative AI. So this is just like, the difference between you and me. The difference between you and your friend who is sitting next to you. But you are good at certain things. Your friend may be good at certain things. So you have to find out. ChatGPT is good in, like what all, like aspects. So use AI for that matter. Right? So like Julius AI. So Julius AI is there for, like that data research. Julius AI. The way you are, like uploading Excel sheet and all this, SPSS and NVivo, the way you are using. So Julius AI also can, when you will give data in spreadsheet or Excel, so Julius AI will give you, like certain inferences. So that is good for that. So there are lots of artificial intelligences, and they are there for certain things. So when you are using ChatGPT, so ChatGPT is, in general, it is good for, like everything. But when you are using Scholar GPT, which is embedded in ChatGPT, and when you are using ChatGPT 5.1 thinking mode, so that will think first, will give answer. Right? So you have to change the model. Like in Google Gemini, deep research is there. So if you are, like switching on the deep research, then the answer will be based upon whatever data available, and we'll also cite that from where, the answer was given by, like Gemini. So it is up to you, there are the Sony cameras are there, Fuji, Canon, so everything is there, but you have to first read what is your requirement. Now, like the artist, if you will see theater artist and, like a film artist is an artist, but when that artist, like Nasiruddin Shah, when Nasiruddin Shah will act in a theater, then all the expressions will be very louder, will be very exaggerated. Why? Like, for example, the way I am talking to you here, if I will talk to my wife at home at this level, then I will be slapped. I will get, like many slapped. Like wife will say, I am not your teacher, yeah. Why are you, like speaking so louder? It's not your classroom, isn't it? So, we behave differently. So when you are in front of the camera, you can't be like that. But suppose if I am a teacher, if I will say like this, okay, the difference between ChatGPT and Gemini, you are asking. Then you will say, like Govind sir, sir, you wasted money on a person, like you called that person from Bhubaneswar, but that person was not that good. You got your answer. Thank you very much.
Sir, for research, which models will be good, better?
The thinking models. You use perplexity. Perplexity. I am just showing it. This. You just see perplexity. Perplexity is free. Like one version is free with like Airtel subscribers. If you are using Jio, then Google Pro is also free. This Perplexity Pro is with me. I am just sharing this for everyone. You just see this Perplexity Pro, right? So you ask anything, any question. You just tell me one question. What is your topic of research?
It's not for me. The question is for my.
No, you just tell me any topic.
Okay.
You are a student of which Sanskrit. Okay. Any topic in Sanskrit?
Planetary portion in Vedic
literature. Spell it. PLANETORY. Motion. Yes. In Vedic literature. Okay, so this is my question. Okay, if I will write this, you just see the answer. I am using the thinking model here. Getting my point? Thinking. Right? Because already I am using the thinking model. It is not giving you answer instantly.
Is it we have to buy this?
No, it's free. Like with Airtel prepaid, if you are using that recharge of some 300 something per month, so it is free. And with Jio also, if you are recharging 3.19 and 399, then Google Pro is also free. So here, like I am not able to get answer because this person is thinking. Because I am using the thinking model. And if you want to change the model, here, are you able to see this? Choose a model. Choose a model. If you will click, so here you just see Sonar model is there, GPT-5 is there, Cloud Sonnet is there, Gemini 2.5 Pro is there, Grok 4 is there, Cloud Opus is there, O3 Pro is there. Right? So here it depends like which model you want to use.
So through Gemini 2.5.
Okay, through Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay, let us change this. This is Google's latest model. Let me just, it is still thinking. It is still thinking. Okay. So we are getting late? No. Is there any session after me? No. It is still thinking. Because the way you have asked the question of planetary motion in Vedic literature. So, हो चुका है आपका और मुझे लगता है यहाँ पे शायद स्लो इंटरनेट है तो इसलिए शायद वो हो रहा है हो चुका है ना so you can change the model and see the result in Gemini also
while the system is thinking I request Dr. Kaivaliji to felicitate our resource person.
Please, someone
with
take a
token
picture.
of, appreciation.
You can take a picture from the center. Why are you going like that side? Okay, this is good.
Sir is the
Thank you very
master of photography. Okay, on everyone's behalf, I also want to felicitate the coordinator. No. I also
We are the first.
So I will give both of you the felicitation. Sir Govind sir, please come. So this is from our side, and this is a beautiful painting because we have KIT and KISS. So KISS is basically tribal university where 40,000 students are studying absolutely fully free, fully residential. So this is done by like those tribal students who are studying at KISS, Kalinga Institute of Social Science. And this is from like a big profile about my founder, who has created 2 universities. So at one university where 40,000 students are there, we are taking money to teach them. I am part of that. But we have another university where 40,000 indigenous students are studying absolutely free. That is fully residential, fully free from KG to PhD level. So this is world's first fully free, fully residential tribal university. And this was created by our honorable, founder, like Dr. Achyuta Samantas. So this is, like from our side. And sir, please come.
One is Dr. Sir.
And sir, one is for your vice chancellor, sir. Well, sir, one is for your. This painting. Okay, banner. And sir, 1 minute. This is also your online. You can read. You can. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interact with those participants across India. Hope you all, liked the way I deliver the lecture. अभी तो आप अच्छा बोलेंगे, बाद में बोले कुछ और.
Thank you so much, sir, for your deliberation. It was very lively. I think the most part is, I think this was one of the sessions where maximum questions were raised. So that proves, that your deliberation was very interesting and helpful to all of us. So with these words, I thank you again, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
And we're looking forward to inviting you again for some another talk very soon.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So we'll end for the day, and tomorrow, 10 o'clock,
We will share the.
we'll share the schedule.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, when we will have our exam, sir?
We'll inform tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, sir.